Good morning. It is actually quite chilly out here on the pre-drive of safariLIVE, and it's myself and Brian who are out and about looking for all sorts of wonderful creatures today. But I have some good news for all of you. I heard the lions, many different male lions calling last night, or very early this morning for most of the morning, and it sounded like 3 individuals, which is exciting. One calling from the far... Hang on, now I can't hear. Megan, you have to talk to me again, please. No, the comms are gone again. So this is interesting. Now, you know we're doing the pre-drive. I'm trying to get comms to work. Something is very wrong. I think I'm going to have to get another earpiece, Megan, if you can copy that. I'm going to start coming back to camp. I can hear you. It sounds like you are whispering at the moment, so I think I'm having a problem with my earpiece. And these things often end up, well, finishing. So we'll go back and we'll get an earpiece in a moment. But luckily it's just the pre-show, so it's not too much of a drama. We have to do a 77-point turn though to come back to camp. But as I was saying, there's many male lions that are calling last night from all over. Hopefully they would have converged here on Juma, had a little meeting, recap. Perhaps it was the Birminghams discussing all the local politics that are going on the property. I'm not sure. We'll have to go and investigate. So what Jamie and I are going to do is we're going to start at the gate. Jamie's going to go along Buffelshoek Cut Line. I am going to go along Triple M. And hopefully between the two of us we'll be able to find some lions this morning, because we love the leopards, but I think we need a big cat, a very big cat in our lives. It's been quite some time now. Maybe this morning is the day. Sorry, guinea fowl. The guinea fowl crossing the road. Bye-bye. Oh, you're on your own. That's dangerous. Right. It's going to be one of those mornings where it's going to be very misty and it feels as though it's going to get warm, but I don't think it is. I think we're going to freeze to death. I think it's only going to get colder and colder. The clouds are coming over now. Actually, a very thick cloud coming over. Brian thinks it's going to rain.
It's going to rain.
We'll have to see. I'm gonna play it safe this time. I'm going to only say it's raining when it does rain. I'm not feeling too adventurous this morning about taking bets and guessing. Right. So we'll have to go find another earpiece. I'll have to go and dig one out of my room. There's one somewhere. I just don't know where, but it's somewhere. So we shall find that. Wait, a little bit bumpy. Okay, over this little stream that's now been created on the floor. Copy that, Megan. Oh, I'm sad, Brian. I love this earpiece. It was my favorite Wild Earth earpiece. I know, I'm very upset. I'm gonna have to give it to Connor and see if he can fix it, because it's my best one. Alright, so we're going to go back into the DRC now. Here we go. Here we come. Oh, hello, Scrubhair. Good night. Scrubhair, I'm sure, is going to head back to bed soon. Right, I'm going to jump out and get an earpiece, but I'm going to send you across to Jamie.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to a dark and gloomy and somewhat spooky sunrise safari out here in the African bushveld. What a perfect day to start looking for animals. This is safariLIVE. Good morning, as James would say, and welcome to the Sunrise Safari. My name is Jamie. This morning I have Dave on camera with me once again. Dave, we seem to go through these patches where either I don't see you on the back of the vehicle ever, or we have several days in a row. I do too. Thank you, Dave. Welcome to your live safari from the middle of Djuma Private Game Reserve, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa, where we're going to be taking you on a 3-hour live safari that is also interactive. So you can chat to us, you can send through your comments and your questions, and you can do that on the hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter. I said it's a rather dark and spooky start. Everything is blanketed in a sort of thin dampening mist. Are we going to get rained upon? I don't think so, Dave. I'm going to go with no, but we could. I'm not sure. Let's see how it plays out. That's half the fun of a live safari, is that whatever our plans are, we never know what to expect. However, that being said, Taylor and myself have come up with a plan of attack this morning. And what we are going to be doing is combining our efforts to search for lions, since it seems as though those big cats have a tendency to disappear at the moment. So we're going to be out looking for lions, and of course, whatever else comes our way. But apparently, I've been told, the lions were roaring all of last night. I didn't hear a thing. I was fast asleep last night, but Taylor says she could hear them here and there and everywhere. So she is going to go one way around the property, and I'm going to go the other way around the property, and together, hopefully, one of us will bump into a lion. So that is the marvelous plan for the morning, and I do just have to tell you that this morning is Megan's directing debut. Go Megan! You excited, Megan? Silence. Yeah. Don't worry, Megan, we'll be nice to you. We'll all be marvelous. Dave, should we start with some zebra for Megan? And everybody else, of course. It's a bit dark. It's a bit very dark. These are the same zebra that Taylor had on foot yesterday. She said they were amazing. So relaxed and comfortable. Hello, boy. It's okay. Dot, dot, dot. Okay, in that case, we'll keep a little bit of distance. They have not moved off quarantine clearings in the last 3 or 4 days. They've been quite content. Look at that little one. Following on behind. They've been quite content to stick around here and enjoy a little bit of the open space. And that's what's lovely about the fact that we've had as much rain as we've had. It's bringing back all the animals. I want to see a buffalo herd today, Dave. That might be asking a bit much, but you never know. They might have decided, now that the rains have come and the grass has grown and is looking lush and beautiful, that they should come back and enjoy some time spent on Djuma. Oh, a whole herd congregating. Wait, why are the impala making that sound? Oh, there's something there. I heard the guinea fowl earlier. Sorry, everybody. No zebra for you. There's a cat on the property. The impala are going nuts. Whee! See? Never a dull moment. Hey, Dave. Aren't you glad to be back on Rusty, Dave? Not being bounced around on the back like a jack-in-a-box. And before anybody says anything, it's not just my driving. Jigger's shocks as well. Okay, Impala, what have you seen? If you have falsely alarm called, I'm going to be hurt. I don't think so, though. Okay. Let's try and get a direction that these Impala are looking in. Oh, it might have been the wildebeest that scared them. The wildebeest has just come racing through. Morning tax, alarm calls on quarantine. I'm just following up now. Right in the middle. I'll let you know which direction they're looking in a moment. Oh, it's a lion. Oh, she's going. Hold on. She's going for the wildebeest and the zebra. Hold on, everybody. Sorry, Impala. She's gone. Tax Fugger Jumbo, there's a Mafazi Ngala that's hunting the zebra here. There she goes, look at that! Zebra's streaming out, there goes the lioness. All racing away. And there's a giraffe as well. I've lost track of where the lions are. I think they've gone across to the western side of quarantine. Come on, Dave, we gotta go fast. Where is she gone? Standing by Tax. Sorry, everybody, I've just got to speak to Taxon as well. Tax, it looks like Mafazi Ngala. She just chased the zebra on here. I've lost her visual though. Tax, my last visual was heading towards western edge of quarantine. Where did she go? The zebra have all escaped unscathed. Where did she go? I know, you probably didn't even have a view of the lion. Did you, Dave? No. Where did she go? Promise you there was a lion here. They're all looking that side. I wonder if she got something there. Hold on, everybody. Impala, I'm coming through this way. Don't run into the lion. You stay there. I wonder if they got something. They're all looking this way. There we go. Got her. What an exciting start to our live safari. Tax, I've got her here. Come towards the bush dinner site. You know that big dead marula where Karula was the other day? She's here. A firm. Keep coming up. You should get my visual now. There she is. She missed her hunt. She was going for the zebra. Something large enough for her. Where is the rest of your pride, girl? One lone lioness on quarantine. See? Told you. So much for Taylor and myself's plan. We're going to split up. We're going to search the boundary. Which lioness is this? One of the Nkuhuma pride, presumably. Okay, let's get a bit closer. Sorry, girl. You tried for breakfast, but no such luck. Oh. 2 lionesses. Here we go. And I think the 3rd lioness was the one that went racing after those zebra earlier and then missed out. And morning to live your dream, absolutely, I agree. I was also worried about the young zebra. I thought we were about to have one of those afternoons where you start by saying, look how cute it is, and then it dies. That happened to me with a baby impala not so long ago in Karula. Look, she wants to go for that wildebeest again. You can see her tense posture, they're hungry, you can see the flap of skin around their bellies. We actually want to just keep a little bit of distance from them. First of all, so that we don't mess up their hunt, but also at the same time, they're very unpredictable in which way they're going to go. So it's actually easier for us to keep a slight distance. But I'm going to go forward because they're after that wildebeest. I don't think they're going to get it though. The element of surprise is gone, but you never know that she's going again. There she goes. Okay. Half-hearted jog. And the wildebeest not having any of it. Impala all racing away. Sorry, girl. No finesse there. You have been spotted. You can hear the alarm calls popping like popcorn all around her. Now she's going to try again for those impala. She's just trying to get lucky. Look there, she's jogging half-heartedly, waiting for one of them to panic and run into her. She's determined. The other lioness, less so. Okay. What an exciting start. Trying to decide which lioness to follow. Look at the way they're splitting up. The one lioness has gone that way, the other lioness has gone this way. Look, she's going to wait in the hope that something is going to come racing this way. The impala is streaming towards her. That's exactly what they want. Come on. For sensitive viewers, I'll let you know when you need to stop watching. Look, you see she's lying flat, she's waiting. The impala don't realize there's two lionesses on this clearing. And the other lioness is just trying to guide them towards her. This is our best possible position. If anyone's going to catch them, she is. The other lioness doesn't have the surprise. Michael, you want to know why Amber Eyes and the young lioness have been away from the pride? I think they were just in estrus. I know that the young lioness was mating with a male not too long ago. However, while she was mating with a male, the young Amber Eyes did make her way back towards the Nkuhumas. So I think it just has to do with estrus cycles, and then potentially they just lost each other for a while. It was very rainy, which would have made it harder to find each other. Sorry, I just need to chat to Taxon. Come on, radio, don't do this to me now. Don't do this. Tax, have you still got visual of that second one? There she is. She's now looking to see where the other lioness is, and if there's any chance that something's going to panic and run towards her. Okay, we can... There's the second lioness. Over there! Can you see her there, Dov? But to the left, she's about to walk past... Okay, she's about to walk past Tax's vehicle. Not Rex's, Tax's. She'll pop out there. Don't worry. Andy and Julia, I actually shouldn't laugh. You know, I really shouldn't. You want to know how hungry a lion has to be to put people on the menu? If it's night time, they don't have to be hungry at all. So if you're walking around in the bush at night and you are walking around, and even if they are full-bellied, we are the most defenseless creatures out here. And you will, eventually, if you keep walking around at night, you will get unlucky and you will get eaten. The reason I say I shouldn't laugh is because actually it's not funny. There was a huge problem in the Kruger National Park, and there probably still is, with refugees from Mozambique trying to come in through the Kruger and being eaten by lions. The lions actually learned that the people followed the power lines and walked at night because they're refugees. They're trying to stay unnoticed, and the lions would get them. We're going to play a little, girls. We're all hyped up. Stunning. Yeah, the zebra are still there, girls. Not that I want you to eat that baby zebra, but you do look hungry. Okay, let's catch up with them. Get a little bit closer. So that was a bit of an exciting start. Not a bad way to start off your morning safari. Walking back towards the next herd of impala. Not trying to be subtle at all. They know they've been spotted. And generally in this sort of circumstances, essentially, to use a rather hackneyed phrase, the jig is up. They've got no chance. However, I have seen them hunt buffalo before in this way, where they just kept pushing and pushing until one of the animals panicked and made a mistake. Look, they're splitting up now. She's gonna... Ideally, I actually want to get around and ahead of them. Shame. So watch the lioness over there at the back, Dave. Watch her slinking around. She's trying to get around the impala so that she can herd them back towards the female that's hanging back. And this is where the secret to lion's success, this cooperative hunting strategy. Even when it's just two lionesses, they've got an amazing way. The other lioness moving off to the right. We're going to reposition now, because any second now they could go. All eyes of the impalas are on the second lioness, the first lioness who's walked that way. Oh, but she's gone too soon. Wait, here they come. She might go for it. She's going for it. Now, Kate, you want to know how often lions make a kill? No, she gave up. Kate, roughly once every 3 days. Here's the lionesses. Sorry, ladies. Sorry, everybody. I'm just going to wait for tax to come past, and then you'll be able to see them. Luckily for us, it's a nice open area. It makes driving a lot easier. So, Kate, it can be up to a week. It can be even longer than a week. They might just fail in every attempt. But the average is probably about once every 3 days. And again, it also depends on what they've killed. If they have killed a buffalo, and there's only a few of them, then that meal can last them for up to 3 days, and they spend the next 24 hours fat, flat, and flatulent. Okay, let's catch up. It's always, what is the word? Actually quite awe-inspiring to see a lion in action. We spend so much time with them when they're fast asleep, but to watch them really come into their own, to come into their element, in the speed, there's a giraffe there, but I doubt two lionesses are going to try that. The speed with which they launch themselves is a mind-boggling thing. You surely not, madam. She's going in. She's going towards the giraffe. I hope this isn't the giraffe with the young calf we've been watching, because that would make it very vulnerable. Lioness is jogging again. We're going to see her pop out now in front of the vehicle. See that coiled tension in her muscles. Okay, Dave, I'm going to shift around so that we can see what's happening here. Okay, I'm going to go around the other way. Can still see a lioness. Go, Tax. Hold on, everybody. Apologies in advance. Dave and Sam, who are on the back of the vehicle with me. We'll be all right. You'll be all right. Oh, sorry, Amber Eyes. Hello. Sorry, my girl. Sorry. Where'd you pop out from, eh? Hello, big girl. There she goes, walking back towards her sister. I don't know where the zebra went, but they seem to have vanished into a patch of stripes. Here we go. That affectionate head rub. Reaffirming that they love each other, even if they failed to get breakfast. which I think is high praise for the bonds between lioness. Now, I have no idea if the rest of the pride are here, if they're on Djuma, if they are anywhere in this area, or if it's the two lionesses separate again. I don't know even if there was a third one, or if one of the lionesses doubled back. Now, Miguel, you say, isn't a baby giraffe a bit big for 3 lionesses? No, not necessarily. The mother will try and defend it, but I have seen 2 lionesses before with a baby giraffe, so it is possible. Okay. Okay, we're going to have to play a bit of leapfrog with the vehicles. For now, we're going to let them go ahead of us. We are going to hit a very sticky patch here. Don't want to go around just yet. So I'm going to try and find us a better position. And this morning, Put Taylor hasn't even had an opportunity to say good morning, so let's head across to her.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome again from myself and Brian. Well, my name is Taylor, and of course, let's have a lovely look at the thumb in his suit. Oh, I'm so sorry, Brian. Oh my goodness, the corrosions, the corrugations on the road are a bit of a nightmare. There he is. But everybody's looking very fit and very smart on this very chilly day. And how exciting to start it off with lions with Jamie. We were not all of us actually, were hoping to see some lions today. And I'm hoping to find some lions too. I picked up on some male lion tracks. Now remember, this is a live interactive safari. So if you have any questions for us, hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter is the best way to get hold of us. And we're scouting about, looking for exciting things. Hopefully a big male lion, like I said. We'll ask Steph to give us a hand with the tracks though, as soon as it's light enough for him to come out and about and join us, which should be relatively soon, because I think that his eyes being closer to the ground, and also with the expert help of Aubrey, probably have a better chance of finding them, especially with this terrible light today. It's very overcast and misty. I'm just checking the boundary because I heard all these lions calling last night, and I haven't seen anything else of the cubs crossing over, just one male lion. But I'm going to keep on going all the way down Triple M, and then we'll probably come on to Zoe's and then start scanning those areas. Maybe the rest of the pride is snuck onto the property. Perhaps today will be the day that Amber Eyes and the youngest Nkahuma lioness rejoin with the 3 lionesses and their cubs, which would be very, very exciting. Whew! What a way to start the day. I'm jealous. I'm so happy for Jamie, but of course I'm jealous because I'd love to be sitting there with her, enjoying that amazing sighting. It's definitely been quite some time now since we have seen a lions, which is good. Right, just check here. Like I said, it's a harsh light at the moment. As we're scanning here, the sand is actually very nice and soft. This is very, very good for tracking, but it doesn't look like anything was walking out. Oh, I also had leopard tracks this morning. Now, Kate, you were wondering if there's any sign or any new, James, sorry James, I didn't hear that very well. If there's any news on that mystery leopard from last night. I'm not sure, but a couple of friends of mine that are actually staying at the lodge, they were in the sighting and they managed to get some really good shots. They're both photographers, so they've also sent those images over to Bob, who run their project. We were having a look last night at the various male leopards that it could be, and we couldn't find anything. It didn't look like it was Gajima. It definitely didn't look like Mvula. So we're not certain just yet. I haven't actually spoken to them this morning, but if we bump into them, they're on Taxon's vehicle, we will ask them and see if anybody has said anything, which will be very exciting to find out. But he didn't stick on the property for very long. They said he was heading straight back towards, sort of in a northeasterly direction, as if he was going to cut through Buffelshoek cut line and then perhaps go back to the Manuleti. So maybe it's a young leopard from the Manuleti that's come through. And we're going to keep moving around over here, and I'm going to get hold of Aubrey in just a second to let him know about those male lion tracks and the leopard tracks that I also had near the gate. But I'm going to send you across to the man who's an expert on foot.
Good morning and welcome to the bushwalk part of this particular morning safari. And I must be honest with you, it starts off with me not really wanting to blink and having my eyes on a bit of a swivel because there's lions around here. Obviously you've been hunting some lions with Jamie. This is quarantine clearings and those lions have just walked through here and over the other side. But that is not to say that there aren't other lions around here. Of course, those two lions that or lioness that you're looking at there are associated to a pride, which no doubt Jamie has been telling you all about. And of course, just because you can only see two doesn't necessarily mean that there aren't others around. This particular clearing can hold quite a few lions, I'm sure. So while this time of the morning, which is sunrise, right at the sunrise, is more dangerous than in the middle of the day for walking into lions, at least we can start to see underneath the trees, we can start to see in the shadows, and that makes it a little bit safer for us to do. But excuse me, I haven't even introduced myself. My name's Stefan Tibu, and basically what our plan is today is to walk down into the Twin Dams area of this particular reserve and go and have a look for Hosana, Shongile and Karula. Those are a family of leopard that we have living in this particular area, 13-month-old cubs and very relaxed on foot, and is making for some very exciting, very awesome encounters that we have on these bushwalks at the moment, and something that we're all looking forward to doing every time we go out, which is quite nice. But we just got to get through the thugs of the bush, these lion. Shame. I suppose that's a bit unkind for the lion because although they end up being labeled the bullies of the bush, they're really just acting towards their nature. These types of encounters where lions tend to dominate other big predators in this area, notably leopard and hyena, to an extent I suppose hyena, not every time, is just because they're in competition for the same food resource. There's a little bit of stratification. In other words, lions do tend to hunt for the larger boned herbivores, things in the range of about 500 pounds or so, whereas leopard tend to hunt for things slightly lower than that, around about half of that, around 250 pounds and much lower. And then hyenas sort of scavenge when they can, hunt when they can't, and will eat anything from dying fish all the way through to beetles and giraffe if they really get a chance. I personally haven't seen hyena hunting giraffe. It's not uncommon to hear of though, but I have seen them hunt and kill buffalo, and that is pretty much one of the most dangerous things that a lion or a hyena can hunt out here. Now here's where those lions are hunting the zebra. I just see massive footprints all over here. Now Ashley, while I'm busy trying to decipher here exactly what happened last night from the tracks, you've just asked me how many pounds of food can a lion eat in a sitting. They can eat about 25% of their body weight in one sitting. And that is, for a female lioness, around about 50 to 60, you're looking at them weighing about 100 kilograms, so 200 pounds, 20% of that is 40 kilograms of meat in a sitting, and that is a lot of meat. I mean, you're looking at an impala weighing around about that amount of kilograms. So you can look at any of the impala that you're most likely to see today. A full-grown lioness will be able to eat that whole impala in one sitting and fit it all into her tummy. Of course, at that point, she'll be so big, she'll look like somebody stuck a air pipe up in her mouth and pumped her tummy full of air, but it's possible for them to do that. Why? As Mother Nature gifted the lions the ability to bolt, it's what it's called when they bolt food, so much food into their tummy. Quite simply, it's to eliminate the effect of competition. If a lioness kills an impala and eats it all, and then moves away, she doesn't have to protect that kill. She doesn't have to protect it from other lions. Firstly, they squabble over food. You'll see prides of lions squabbling over food quite a lot. She doesn't have to protect it from scavengers like vultures and hyenas, and she doesn't have to protect it from lions from other prides. All of which, if they are more than what she is, she'll have to relinquish her control over that kill. And so what lions do is they eat as much as they can, as quick as they can. That also gets the food in their tummy, and then if they have to move off, they can move off of the food resource, knowing full well that they've got as much food as they can carry in their bellies. And that, of course, sets them up for a couple more days of good living. Now, I might get your name wrong here if you don't mind. Report Low, I think, or Report Lobes, excuse me if I managed to hash that up. Oh, Report Globe. I may still have it wrong, but anyway. You wanted to know why are lions a little bit more dangerous at night than what they are during the day? That's actually a good question. Lions are, let me say bipolar, I think is probably about the easiest way to describe it. In the daytime, they're very timid. Some lions are very timid. Lions in wilderness areas that don't have a lot of interaction with people are fairly timid, and will usually move away from people. On the odd occasion that you've seen lions on foot with people during these safaris that we do, you'd notice that the lions are very wary of people, head up, quite often moving away, sometimes rushing away. Every now and again they'll give a growl or a little bit of a charge towards you, but it's usually to protect retreating cubs, or in the case of a mating pair of lion. At night time though, they switch to very inquisitive. I wouldn't go overtly aggressive, but definitely inquisitive, definitely not timid. So whereas in the day they choose to move away, at night time they almost always will come right up and come and inspect whatever it is. And quite often they'll hang around the periphery of a camp. I've spent many evenings, probably close on years, in the bush sleeping underneath the stars. And when we've had lions around the camp, they've almost always prowled around the edges of the camp. It almost gives you the feeling they're looking for a weak point or looking for something to eat. And so they generate this impression that lions at nighttime are a lot more dangerous. Do we walk around here at nighttime in the middle of the bush? No. Does anyone that I know of or ever have met in my life walk around at nighttime in the bush? No. And it's because we all us field guides have this feeling that that lions at nighttime are very different to lions in the day. So, I mean, let me say, are you going to get eaten every time a lion is near you in the dark? No. Is it quite scary to encounter lions in the dark? Yes, it is actually quite, because they're not scared of you. They call you out when you're staring at them. They sort of stare back, but it's a I see you, little man, and you look like food stare, rather than a, what are you up to? Why don't I know where you're going? What's up with you walking into my bush? So it is a bit of a different thing, I suppose. But anyway, I mean, there's no use talking ourselves scared. We've got an entire walk still to go on, and many things to search for over here. So in the meantime, while I find my way off of quarantine, because I've wandered around here now quite a lot, is why don't we go to Jamie and go find out exactly what she's been up to.
Watch out for lions on quarantine, Steph. You never know, they might pop up out of nowhere. Okay, so just an update on what's happening with the lions. They have gone flat. You know that drainage line, for those of you that have been watching over the last few days? There's a sort of a river creek system where Dave and myself were splashing around the other afternoon. They've gone in there. One vehicle tried to follow them and is already stuck. And one of the other vehicles is attempting to try and go and pull him out without getting stuck themselves. I'm not going in there. I'll give them some space to work around, because it's going to be hard enough trying to pull each other out of a boggy area without a third vehicle there to make life even more difficult. So I'm going to go around and see if we can catch them on the other side. Oh, so many exciting things happening. I also know I've got a surprise up my sleeve for you as well. It's a busy morning. Back over to Taylor with what she has. Come.
There we go. Look who we've got sitting down here on the ground. Should we have any guesses as to who you think this big male leopard is lying in the middle of the road? Very, very quickly, I'm sure all of you have already shouting with excitement as to who this is. So hashtag safariLIVE with who you think this big, beautiful male leopard is. He is full. He has got a belly on him, as you can see. Now, I do need to call this sighting in. So let me very quickly just call it on the Game Drive radio. Mobiles, I've got a male leopard just off Rebecca's, quite close to Philemon's cut line. One unlock. Here we go. Just calling it in very quickly. But isn't this fantastic? Finally! And Megan's directing everybody. I don't know if Jamie's actually said this is something else that's just as exciting as seeing a male leopard while I wait for your responses as to who this male leopard is or who you think this male leopard is. And then we will tell you why it is a certain male leopard for all the new viewers. I'm just waiting for Megan to let me know if there are any answers. But it's exciting. Megan's learning to direct, which is wonderful. And I'm sure after the next few days she'll be doing it all by herself, which is really wonderful. Listen, listen. Here we go, giving a territorial call. Sorry, Megan, you didn't come through there. I just heard you say one or two words and then the comms cut off. Sarah, you're wondering if this is quarantine. Close, but not quite quarantine just yet. Let me see if I can get a better position. What I want to do is I actually want to go just around the corner. We can have a look. Hello, boy. Yes, it's been a while since we've seen you. Just going to go off the road slightly. But good guess, Sarah. Keep on guessing. I like to play these guessing games with all of you. James and Nina, you win the lucky prize again. Well done. This is indeed Tingana, our resident male leopard. So, Sarah, you had a very good guess there on guessing quarantine. Now, the only problem is, and I should have told you exactly where we are, but we are still on Djuma. So, quarantine's territory extends much further east on Cheetah Plains, and see he pops into Nkoro every now and then. However, Tingana has got a massive territory. He lives on Djuma. He also goes into Buffels Hook. He goes to Torchwood. He goes to Little Gowrie. He goes to Simbambili and all these different properties, and of course Arathusa too. And Chitwa. Apparently he spends quite a bit of time near the Chitwa Dam. But he looks massive this morning because he has got a full belly. I'm not sure what he's eaten, but he definitely came from the south. So perhaps he made a kill of an impala or something along those lines, and that's why he's been so scarce over the past couple of days, is because he's been feeding his appetite. But he looks massive, and he is a beautiful, beautiful cat. Look at him. Hello, boy. You're going to give us another good call, because that would be really, really wonderful if you could do that. So he's coming through now. He's eaten. He's well fed. You can see he's panting quite a bit, not because it's hot, but because, as most of you know, when these big cats do gorge themselves with food, is that it puts a lot of pressure on their diaphragm and on their lungs and all the organs inside. So they can't take the biggest and deepest breaths like they normally do. So they are only left with being able to take these short, sharp breaths. And that often makes it look like they are panting. I think he's on his way, he's starting his territorial patrol. That little half-hearted call that he did, and he does some impressive ones, so that's why I say it was a half-hearted call. He'll need to do a bit louder and a bit longer if he wants any other leopards to hear that he is around and in this area. But now, I'm just going to take a nap quickly. And I think he'll do that for most of the morning, is he'll walk a little bit, and he'll mark, so he'll rub his cheeks up against branches. He will also urine spray up against trees. He'll vocalize, maybe sit down like he is now, have a little 5-minute siesta, and then carry on with the day. I'm going to have to get quarry branches for us today, Brian. The flies are back. Miguel, you're wondering if Tingana is short for a male leopard. And not particularly. He's a decent-sized male leopard. He's not anywhere near as big as Anderson from the pictures I've seen, or Mbavala, which are the two contenders for the largest leopards in the Sabi Sand. So he's actually quite tall. You see, the problem is that from a vehicle, it sort of distorts our view, I suppose you could say, because it makes these animals look a lot smaller. We're looking down onto them all the time. But if I were to stand next to Tingana, or maybe what we can try and do, maybe this will be a fun game, all of you that are very good at editing, maybe we'll try and see if Tingana walks down the road. We'll do a screenshot of him, and then I'll try and stand in the road exactly where he sort of stopped and posed, and next to him, and then you can compare height difference. But I suspect that his head would be up near my waist, maybe even a little bit higher than that. They're not small cats. I mean, a leopard can almost be, he's probably just over 2 meters in length. Maybe with his tail all stretched out, actually quite easily. So they're not small cats. And he's a big boy, and I must say, ever since I've started working here, I feel like Tingana has gotten bigger. What do you think, Brian? Yeah, do you think he's still putting on a bit of muscle? Yeah, and you know what? And especially when he's full like this, he looks enormous. There we go. He's up again. So what we'll do is we will take some screenshots. There we go. He's spraying. Not really. He seems like he's too exhausted to do anything along those lines. Lord John, you're wondering how old Tingana is. Now, for the life of me, I've completely forgot, but I want to say 8 years old. I think he's somewhere around there. If I am mistaken, I apologize. Please do correct me. Hashtag safariLIVE with his correct age. But I've hit a complete blank with Tingana. But I'm certain, I think he might even be turning 9 this year. I think he's getting a bit older. Right, I'm going to reverse very quickly before we lose him. Tingana, don't go in the bushes. We don't need to be racing around in the bushes this morning. No, just marking. Okay, should we see if we can get a screenshot here? Here's your opportunity, so take a screenshot, and then when he gets further up enough in the road, then I will go and stand where he was standing. Maybe we'll go and stand exactly where he is now at the moment. So grab a screenshot very, very quickly. And then I'll be sneaky and stand outside the car when he goes up around the bend. Because he doesn't look like he's... No, we won't be able to do it right now. I don't think I want to go and stand next to Tingana while he's still there. Hey, big boy? No, we'll wait. So we'll just keep trying. Hopefully he gets on the move and actually moves off. Oh my goodness, you know what? Today is an amazing day. We've started off with lions chasing a giraffe around and doing all sorts of exciting things, as well as impala and zebra. We bumped into our favorite male leopard, and now Jamie has got the royal family in a tree.
How's this for one morning? While we wait for the lions to move out of the boggiest area, as Taylor said, we've had Tingana, and now we have the 2 cubs not far away from him at all. Now, I'm just waiting to hear from Taylor which direction he's going in. He's not a threat to them. They've been seen with Tingana before. He is most likely the father of these cubs. Sorry, just listening to Taylor's update. Oh, there we go. Okay, he's not as close as I originally thought. Careful, mister. You two stay right where you are. Don't you be coming down here. There's lionesses about, and they're not far from where you are. So you just sit nice and tight up in your tree and make sure that you don't get caught by surprise. So the lions... To give you an idea or a sense of scale of where everything is, the lions are about 300 meters, 300 yards away from these leopard cubs. Tingana is about 700 yards in the opposite direction. So they're between Tingana and the lions. They're looking happy though. Content, waiting for Mum to return to them. Pretty much where we lost them yesterday. A little bit further into the block. Now there's gorgeous Hosanna. Looking somewhat sleepy and droopy-eyed. But watching the pair of giraffe that the lions chased earlier, I can't see them anymore, but that's what he's looking at. That's what's got his attention. I'm sorry, you might have to grow a little bit before you're ready to catch a giraffe, Hosanna. In fact, that's probably, definitely outside of your capabilities. Maybe start with something smaller. Although we've seen Hosanna stalk elephants before, it's all the natural part of the learning process, practicing their skills, even though they don't intend to hunt it. I saw Sindile when he was about just a little bit younger than this, stalking a buffalo, which would definitely have been a little bit of an ask for a young male leopard. Even a leopard of Tingana's size would not be able to take out an adult giraffe. And feeder point, I think. You want to know where the cubs sleep. Wherever they happen to find themselves. Feeder point. You want the leopard cubs will sleep wherever they find a resting point. A comfortable marula tree like this one is a good spot, as good a spot as any, but that doesn't mean that they won't sleep on the ground as well. Leopards often sleep on the ground. However, at the moment it's so humid and misty that they are usually found sleeping in trees because the grass is damp. They don't really want to go and lie in a damp bed. But they'll pretty much sleep wherever they find themselves, and that might make them seem quite vulnerable, but they're constantly listening, constantly hearing the things around them. The only time I've ever seen another predator get close to a sleeping leopard was with Shadow and that hyena, where the hyena nearly stepped on her before she realized what was going on. Shadow, of course, being the older sister of these leopard cubs. Their oldest sister, actually. How spoilt have we been? Lions chasing everything across quarantine. Leopards everywhere. It seems as though it's just one of those mornings where the bush is teeming with cat life. Rex. Sorry, everybody. Just want to check that they managed to get out of the bog, because I sympathize. I know exactly what that feels like. We've all done it. Hello, boy. It's such a cute face peering out down at us. Now, Justine, welcome to our sunrise safari. Justine, while little Shungile stands up and gives us a good perspective of the sort of difference between herself and her brother, you want to know, in comparison, what is the size difference between a female leopard and a female lion? It is a massive difference. So a lioness is probably 3 to 4 times the size of a leopard. If it's a small leopard, 4 times the size of her. So Karula is probably around, we guess, we don't know for exactly, but we guess at around 40 kilograms, so over 80 pounds. The lionesses that we just saw hunting are at least, I would say, 120 kilograms, so over 240 pounds of massive cat. So there's a mammoth size difference between the two of them. And even Tingana, who is a relatively large male leopard, he is still nowhere near the bulk and size of a lioness. And we actually, Dave and myself, actually had a really good perspective on that when one of the youngest lionesses chased Tingana up a marula tree. And it gave us quite a good idea of just how much larger lionesses are. So a leopard will never, ever pick a fight with an adult lion. It would be foolish in the extreme. And even Hosanna, I think, would know better than to try and stalk those lionesses. They're much too fast to take a risk. Good question, William. I was just wondering the same thing. You want to know, do I think the leopards know that the lions are there? No, I don't think so. She's looking at the giraffe now, by the way. That's what's got her attention. I don't think so, but they might know that there's something around. They might even think it's their mum. Not that they would come running to check. They'll wait for her to come and call them. But so there's no risk of that. But they might have heard the vehicles and they might realize that there's something going on in the area. But I don't think they would know exactly what it is, and I don't think at this point they can see from where they are, even up in that marula tree. I don't think they can see those lioness. The lioness went to ground in quite a thick area, in a thick drainage line. So I don't think that they know that there's lionesses there. They do, however, know that there are lions in the area. And the reason I say that is because they made such a noise. I'm going to do some chatting on the Game Drive comms to check and make sure the guys got out of the bog. And while we do that, let's go and see how Steph's stroll is going.
We have got such an awesome thing happening over here at our feet. We've got a column of ants. I heard them referred to as safari ants the other day, but to be honest with you, I don't know. They're just so small. They're actually quite difficult to identify. But just have a look at my feet over here. They're coming from one place and moving to a new den, or a new, what did you call it? My brain has gone blank. The colony is moving from one nest to another. Most of them, I would say about 100 ants to one, are moving in a direction here to a new nest that they've dug for themselves. But just have a look at the speed that they're going. And they really are small. I mean, we're looking at not quite microscopic, but definitely so small that from where I'm standing at the moment I can't make out any sort of distinguishing features whatsoever. Let's have a look and see what you can see. They're not carrying any eggs, no babies, but they're definitely moving home. Isn't it just absolutely amazing? And you can actually see that they've walked a canyon, relatively speaking, into the ground already. Just tens of thousands of feet moving those sand grains that are bigger than what they are, to be quite honest with you. Very, very, very cool. And they're coming into a hole here. And what is amazing is that all these ants are going into a hole there, and they're piling in there, and they're not even displacing any sand. So that means that there must be a cavity under the ground here. These particular ants do excavate cavities in the ground. I'll hope to show you one. They literally pick out even dust-sized particles and move it into a cone-shaped protective rim around their nests, entrances. And then their entrance hole is massive. It's about a fist-sized entrance hole with these tiny, tiny ants removing the dust. It's just absolutely unbelievable. Watch where you stand there so we don't squash these poor little guys. Just quite phenomenal. I don't even know why they're moving, but obviously ants move for a reason. Most of the time it's to avoid predation from other ants, and for food, or because their tunnels have been flooded. In this particular case, and here's our ever-present pirate fly. There we go. This ever-present fly that's on the lookout for any stragglers, in particular eggs. Yesterday we had a most delightful time with 2 or 3 pirate flies also busy parasitizing moving ant colony. In this particular case, I think this pirate fly is going to go hungry. They haven't started to move the baby ants, the pupa and larvae of the ants haven't started to be moved just yet. I don't know if they perhaps moved them first. Watch the other fly goes, try and pick off a straggler. we've just been observing these flies this year, and they've been such a joy to watch because they actually got character. Long bandy legs keeps them out of the way of most things. Very, very observant flies. They can even see ants coming from directly behind them, and they'll quickly and deftly dance out of the way. So now this column of ants is actually diminishing. I think this is most of the colony that we've had. A couple of hundred ants, I would judge probably close to 1,000 ants have passed us right now in the last couple of minutes. I don't know for how long the colony's been on the move for. I can't imagine it would be too long. Just from the sheer number of ants that has been moving, I would imagine that this is most of the colony that's been done already. And what is interesting for me is the fact that they've managed to walk themselves this massive canyon already. Now, Leslie, you've asked me what the biggest ant in South Africa is, and that would have to belong to the robber ant. The female of the robber ant is the largest ant that we found out here, and she's probably about that big. So she is about this big. A robber fly or robber ant. No, this is the robber fly, it's the robber ant. Leslie, you've got me doubting myself here. But robber ant, I think. But anyway, she's about this big. And they also live in this area. You see them from time to time, once or twice a year. They don't come out very often. When they do, they're literally, the workers are about that size that we've just had a look at with those tiny little ants, and all of a sudden this massive queen will come out. And she's big and black and shiny, got some wings on her. You see them flying around, deep summer like now, this time of the year. And I tell you, she's a sight to see. Quite often attached to her would be one of her kings, and he is about the size of those ants that we've just seen now. Many hundreds of times smaller than what she is. And then they fly around, mate, and start new colonies. Oh, look there. We've got some mist in front of the sun. Gives us a rare opportunity to actually look at the ball of the sun. Okay, not anymore. Red, while I'm busy listening to a lion making a contact call off to my left-hand side here. So we haven't quite, I'll answer your question now, Red. We haven't quite gotten all the lions that are on Djuma today, because just here, probably no more than 200 yards or so, I've just heard that soft, it's almost like a moan that lions give as a contact call to one another. I think there's a good chance that we've got either another male on the property, or we've got a female lioness looking for her mates on that side. I think we're going to take this road down here. We're going to go and have a look for this lion. All right, so Red, you just asked me if ants fight with one another, if ant colonies will fight with other. Most definitely. We have ant wars out here, which is what I suppose it's a common name to call what happens when one ant colony decides to usurp another ant colony, and these wars can last literally for a week or two as one ant colony slowly displaces and entrenches itself in another ant colony's nest. In actual fact, the tree right outside of Brian's room, our old kitchen, is the scene of an ant war probably about once a year. And I think it's because when we used to have the kitchen in Brian's room, it was a source of food for ants, and the tree that was right outside the kitchen was providing for the most, for the best nesting site close to the food resource that it could do. And gradually, more and more aggressive ants would take over the colony, and they'd be in charge for a couple of weeks. In this particular case, it was a year or two, and then the next ant colony. And we've probably had about 3 ant wars. And the ants lie in piles and droves underneath that tree when this ant war takes place. The usurpers quite often kill every single ant that they can find. It's not a question of just moving. It's a question of, I'm coming in there to kill everything and everybody. It's a complete takeover. And these things go on and rage for literally weeks. It's pretty epic. So hopefully that answers your question there, Red. It's been a pretty hectic morning this morning. Lions everywhere, leopard everywhere, coming out of every nook and cranny. It bodes well for us trying to find this lion making this contact call on this side. We'll keep you posted as we get down there and sort of see what tracks we can find. In the meantime, why don't we go and see what Tingana's up to.
He's not doing much, eh, Steph? He was marking his territory slightly, giving off a call every now and then, but he's decided to, well, go back into a little hidey hole. He's had a drink of water from a mud wallow, but he's hiding now. And I think that this is a perfect spot where perhaps he's going to settle down for the day. If you know Tingana, he's not a fan of moving around during the heat of the day like Karula is. She doesn't seem to mind the heat so much. So I think this is going to be the perfect spot. The grass is nice and wet, so he's going to stay cool. And then he's also got a little, it's like he's built himself a fort, but it's a natural fort out here. And he's grooming himself. I think that this is going to be a sleepy Tingana after this. Now, I didn't get to obviously do the screenshots that we wanted to. But that's all right. We can always do it another time, and we'll eventually get to see how big Tingana really is. Like I said, I don't think he's going to come out of this thicket anymore. But I'm so glad that he is here and he is back on the property. It'll be exciting to see what happens a little bit later tonight. Or, I actually hope I'm wrong. And I hope that he just has decided to sit down again for a couple of seconds. And hopefully he'll get moving again. But it's now starting to heat up. Those clouds are burning away. We'd said to you that in the pre-show that we didn't think it was going to warm up very much today. And it seems as though, well, that has changed too. Lots and lots of things are changing this morning. Look at that. It's going to be an exceptionally hot and humid day. Carl, you're wondering if Tingana knows the cubs, if he's ever visited them before. I haven't seen any interaction between the three of them, but that's to say that it just maybe didn't happen behind the scenes and we weren't there. It's not uncommon for male leopards to come through and recheck their territories as we're seeing at the moment. And of course he is going to bump into his cubs and Karula at any moment. While they're still so young, I think he'll be all right with them. He won't be bothered too much, but as soon as they get older, as soon as they hit the 2-year mark, things will change a little bit. Karula Shongile will actually most likely show a bit of interest in Tingana, and we know that this is their father. But inbreeding in nature is actually normal for a couple of generations, so it's nothing to really worry about, because in the next couple of years, Tingana will be pushed out by a younger, fitter, stronger male, and then that, of course, will stop the... Oh my goodness, there's flies going in my eyes and in my nose, and that will stop the inbreeding process. Whereas Hosanna is going to disappear far, far away from this area. He won't be able to hang around here for too much. And well, we're not going to sit here for much longer. We're going to stay for a little bit. I think there's another guide coming in. Perhaps we'll go searching about to see what else we can find on this adventurous morning. But I'm going to send you across, well, we've gone from Tingana, the dad. Let's go and have a look at his cubs.
On this beautiful cloudy morning, the dangling tail of Shongile is lovely to look at. I'm just listening to the updates about these lions. Shongile is looking in the direction that they were last seen. Now they've moved into a very, very wet seepline area. And I wonder whether or not our bushwalk team might have a strong desire to go off and help us search for them once again, because our vehicles can't make their way into that particular area. I think Shongile has seen something. She's looking across in that direction. And as a general rule, Shongile seems to be a little bit more on the ball than Hosanna in terms of her awareness of her surroundings. She doesn't seem too concerned by whatever she's looking at. But unfortunately, from where the lionesses, it sounds like the lionesses have gone, we won't be able to follow in there. It's just an inevitable consequence of the amount of rain that we've had. The ground is still soaking wet, and some of the areas around here are what's known as seep lines. And I don't want to get stuck today, Dave. Nah, it's been too nice a morning to ruin that way. Hello? Can you see the lions from up there? You've got a little bit of a height advantage. You need to tell us where to look. What introspective looks our cats have on their faces today. Don't you think, Dave? Contemplating the meaning of life, are we? Or probably, most likely, when's Mommy coming back with some food? This is a truly stunning image. Nina? Yes, absolutely. If the lions are around, the leopards will stay in their tree. And so they should. It would be a truly sensible decision. Lions can climb. Just to, obviously, well, to state the obvious. They can climb. They don't climb as well as leopards. And of course, being as heavy as they are, they can't get onto the far reaches of the branches. So if the leopard cubs were to see the lions now, and if the lions were to walk through here, which could happen, I can hear Rex still wandering around looking for them. That could happen. The cubs will stay quiet. They'll stay up in the top of the branches and not draw attention to themselves by moving too much. Look, they're both looking now. I don't know if it's because they're looking towards the sound of the vehicle or if they've spotted something. I think they're just looking to see what the vehicle's looking at. They're just curious. What you doing? And then, if the lions were to spot them, they would probably try to climb this tree. They definitely spend a little bit of time around here. However, I don't think we need to be worried. I don't think we need to be concerned about these leopard cubs with lions. They've got themselves a nice tree. They've got some good, solid branches that they can climb into if necessary. That will keep them safe from the lions. Now, we've spoken about the fact that it's wonderful to see these two together, just because these moments are going to be, well, we're not going to be able to enjoy them too much longer once these leopard cubs become independent. And Karen, you want to know when will Shungile be able to mate? Karen, at about 2, she'll start her first estrus cycle. She probably will initially go into a period of false estrus while her body adapts to the changes before she actually comes into a true estrus. It might even start a little bit earlier than that because, of course, females develop and become independent quicker than males do. What you looking at, girl? Are you looking at that Franklin or the lionesses there? I'm trying to read from her body language when she's just something's attracted her attention and when she's actually seen something. You see that look? Are they there, girl? Can you see them? I wish I spoke leopard. It would really make life a lot easier. Add it to a list of languages I need to learn. Relaxed again. I think if they start to come in this direction, we'll see a definite change in her body language. What were we talking about? Oh yes, females becoming independent faster. So at around about 18 months, actually, she could start her first estrus cycles, but they'll really only settle in when she's about 2. And she'll probably have her first set of cubs around 2.5. What an experience that will be, Shungile. Won't know what's hit you. I hope she's around for us to see when she does. It would be a true privilege to see whether or not she's inherited her mother's mothering skills. Look at that focus. I don't know if it's because she knows there's something there because of the vehicles, or if she can see them. I'll just keep checking behind me. Oh, that's a dead branch, girl. I'd be careful on that. There, good girl. Don't go any further along that. Huh. welcome to Veronica. I think we're going to have to do some shuffling around. Veronica, you want to know, will Karula continue to bring food back for them until they're independent, or will they hunt for themselves? They're already hunting for themselves. They are... Don't knock each other out of the tree now. Sorry, just hold on one sec, Dave, just in case they... hissing at each other. Okay, let's reposition. Veronica, they're already hunting for themselves and catching small prey items, and they will continue to get better and better at it until the point that they become independent. Even after they have become independent, especially for Hosanna, there's still a chance that Mom will allow them to come and join her at her kills, even once they've reached that independent stage. And I say especially Hosanna just because he's more likely to stick around for a little bit longer. But remember that female leopards will never bring food to the cubs. Just got to be careful, there's a big hole. Rather, she'll come and fetch the cubs and take them to it. I really hope there isn't a big log in the middle of this. There isn't. Watch heads. You got some spider webs there, Dave. I'm covered in them. There's about 5 different spiders crawling around here. Okay. Let's watch Hosanna now. He's looking back there. Red, yes, there's definitely footage of leopards pouncing out of a tree onto prey below. It's quite unusual for that to occur. It's not as common. There's this funny misconception that leopards do it all the time. They actually really don't. But flying death from above does occasionally occur, especially in river areas where they've got properly big trees to support them and to leap down from. But generally it's not as common as people tend to think. It's possible though. They can do it. Now, Katie, welcome to our sunrise safari. Katie, you want to know if the royal family is the only group of leopards nearby, also, of course, known as a leap of leopards. That was perfect. Thank you, Shungile. Katie, no. Their older sister, Shadow, has... Oh, having a good scratch. Jolly good scratch. Katie, no, the Shadow has 2 cubs, 2 young cubs. They're only just over 2 months old now. They haven't been seen in a while. I spoke to some of the guides last night. They haven't seen them for now. That doesn't mean that we need to be concerned. I'm sure Shadow's just moved them somewhere different after the rain, and they just haven't found her yet. Arethusa's a very boggy area, so it would be very difficult to track her down. So there's Shadow and her 2 cubs. Tundi, Shadow's sister, and their older sister, is just off to the east of us with her cub Tamba. And then, who else have we got? Those are the ones nearby. Nkanyeni to the east of us with Vutomi. That's all the way towards Cheetah Plains. Now she's looking there. And now she's looking up. Hey, Megan, first time you've used the wrong radio. I'm not blaming Megan. She's doing an amazing job. Oh, jolly good scratch. I'm going to go off in search of these lions, I think. The leopards have been glancing in the right, give us the right direction, so I'm going to try and find them. I've just seen Taylor drive past me. Let's go and find out where she's going.
Well, we're just bumbling again at the moment. We have just picked fresh guarri branches because, like I said earlier with Tingana, Oh, Brian, you got one on your foot. The flies are biting us. They're going in our noses, in our ears, and our eyes, so we are armed and we are ready for them. One of the reasons why I had to leave Tingana is because that tight spot that he went and sat in, there were a couple of guides that wanted to come and see him, and there was really only a good view for one vehicle, but you could maybe squeeze two in. So I thought we had a wonderful sighting. We'll let the other guys go in, and they said if he does get up and start moving around, he'll let us know and we can zip back over there. However, we are going to go and check on the hyenas very quickly. We've just turned onto that off-road track, which is now a prominent road. Right, no, we need to turn the game drive radio right down. That's very loud. Let's go have a look and see what's happening in here. I can't get over what an action-packed morning we have. I'm still just trying to get off of my high, my high from yesterday, this walk, because it was wonderful. And now everything is happening, and there are lots of hyena tracks going up and down here. So that's good news for us. Hopefully, Ribbon is going to be sitting out with her darling cubs. Let's sneak over. Come on, guys, I haven't seen you in a very long time. I haven't had much luck. Every time I come here, they're fast asleep, and Ribbon is not even here anymore. She's hidden herself somewhere. I suspect on a hot day like today, she may even go and lay in a little mud wallow. Right, we're just going under the branches. Oh, hyenas. No, not our day at all. Nobody's home. Nobody's home. It is empty. I'm sure her little cubs are stashed safely away inside the termite mound. But Ribbon is nowhere to be seen. Well, that's a pity. We must have just missed her with all the excitement that was going on this morning. We have to get here right as the sun is coming up. That's fine, that's not a problem. You can't have it all, I suppose, and we've been so lucky already. So what we will go and do, though, is we're going to head straight back towards the DRC and go and have a look at the male lion tracks which I had this morning. Because I think now is a better time to go and track. It was just too dark, so I didn't want to drive over all of the line track, ruin our chances of finding a Birmingham. So let's go and do that. Now, it's unbelievable. Steph heard a lion earlier, so we'll have a chat with him too and find out where exactly that call was coming from. But speaking of Steph, let's go back across to him and see how his morning is going.
I am sad to say that I think what I heard was a vehicle. There's just no sign of any lion here whatsoever. What I have managed to find is many flies, probably more so than I've had in the last couple of months or today. They're just insane. Have a look here. I can't see so many now. But these little stable flies, they bite. So when they land on you, they pierce you. Not as bad as a tsetse fly, which is thankful because tsetse fly bites are insanely sore, but nevertheless quite distracting. Now, it doesn't mean that there's no lion here. Just have a look at how thick the bush is. Just take a look at what the bush looks like through there. Now, even a lion wouldn't like to walk through there, and the reason being is that they just get wet and cold. So they like to walk in summertime. They like to walk on the roads. They like to walk on pathways, animal pathways, and we've checked the most predominant pathways in our area now, and we can't find anything. But like I said, it doesn't mean that there isn't a lion here. We're checking one game path here. There might be another game path just there at that tree, and that's where that cat is. So we're trying to circle the area where we found or where we heard that noise, and hopefully we'll be able to dig out something for you before the drive is finished. I just can't believe the luck that we've had this morning. Hunting lions, leopard in trees, leopard with full bellies, Tingana we haven't seen in a while, or I haven't seen in a while at least anyway. Those two cubs, and of course the lions, which have been quite dispersed of late compared to the dry season last year. Let's go this way. Now, Vilpine Wolf Girl, you've asked me if lions would be able to hoist a kill into a tree. No, they won't. And it's not because they are not capable of doing it, it's because they're just not designed to do that. They're big, they've got a lot of mass on them, they're quite aggressive, and usually they're more than one. They don't really have much to fear. They don't have to get their kills off of the ground to get them away from vultures and from marauding hyena in this particular place. Does that mean that lions do not climb trees to fetch kills from other predators? Absolutely not. So Vilpa and Wolf Girl, they absolutely climb trees. Lions have been known to climb trees. I've seen lions climb a tree probably right up to not the top branches of a torchwood like that. It was also a marula tree, not a torchwood. But she climbed right up a branch. Young male lions will quite often raid leopard kills just in order to keep themselves fed properly. And so it's not uncommon to see lion in trees with kills. But do they tree kills? No, they don't tree kills. They will larder kills though, so not as effectively as what leopard do. So leopard have been known to kill and kill again and kill again, and will larder kills in an area. Sometimes, you know, a couple, more than 2 kills will be larded by by a leopard, to keep them away from hyena, but also to make use of a food source that might just be rapidly declining. Fish, for instance, drying up in a pan. I've seen leopard kill fish after fish and basically go and stash the fish in a tree. I've also seen leopard do the same thing with young impala and just kill impala after impala and stash them in trees all over the place. I'm trying to remember now the exact number. I think it was about 4 or 5 baby impala that we saw once in a tree. This leopard just kept on smashing the same herd of newborn impala. I think, what was I trying to get at over there? So leopard will larder stuff, so will lion. Lion, though, rather than killing again and again, although it's not uncommon. I heard a story the other day while I was busy visiting the Mara about 2 lioness that in 2 hours killed 27 wildebeest in 2 hours and had them strewn across the plain that they were lying on. So they'd literally just kill a wildebeest, take it down and wait for the next one. 27 wildebeest in 2 hours was what these 2 lioness managed to take down. So they definitely will kill a lot when they can, when the opportunity presents itself. And rather than lardering it, what they do is they scrape bushes and grass and detritus over it, and they try and keep it covered, at least keep the smell from wafting too far initially, and then also from the eyes of vultures. They will also try and keep it underneath cover. So it's not uncommon to see lion dragging kills quite a distance and putting them underneath branches, which is quite nice. All right, we're going to carry on here looking for signs of this probably fictitious lion. Let's hope it isn't. I'm going to send you over to, I think, to Jamie with his leopard in a tree.
Oh, the leopards in the tree are keeping us thoroughly entertained, almost as much as if we were walking to find some lions, I suppose. I'm just trying to see if Shongile is coming back for revenge. She was lying where Hosana's lying. Yeah, she is too. She is too. She's going to do the same thing to him. He just did this. Oh, no, she's not. She was lying where Hosana's lying, and he walked up to her, put his paw on her bottom, and pushed her off. And she dangled for a moment precariously, then jumped and smacked her face into the marula branch. I don't think she was terribly impressed with life. And if I hadn't seen her do the exact same thing to Hosana, I might have been taken in by that look of injured innocence on her face. But I have seen her do the same thing to Hosana. Remember when he had that limp and he tried to jump up into the tree and failed, and she just walked up to him and pushed his paws off? Well, revenge is best served cold, Shongile. There you go. See, there's plenty of room in this tree for both of you. There's no need to fight. Admittedly, Hosana does have the best spot. Something else has caught their attention. I'm still waiting for these lions just to pop out here. I have a feeling, you know, it would be the way our luck runs. Now they're both focused. What do you see? Nothing. Okay. I actually think the walking team, if the lines are flat and not moving towards us, I actually think the walking team are the only people who are going to be able to get there just because of how wet it is. Now, Aurora, you are looking at the champion of falling out of trees. I think I have seen, and I'm talking about Hosanna, not myself, although I do it quite well as well. I've seen Hosanna fall out of more trees than I can actually count or remember. And you want to know if the leopards ever fall out of trees when they're asleep. Occasionally, very occasionally. Most of the time, though, they're quite well balanced with their paws on either side and their tail draped. And you can see Hosanna's got his hooked over a branch. It does happen. Sometimes they are so deeply asleep they yawn, roll over, and fall out. It's very unusual, and leopards are usually quite good at landing on their feet. Not always. Sometimes they actually can injure themselves. But for the most part, they're pretty good at sleeping in the tree. That's what they have evolved to do. I saw Shongile fall off the bush dinner site the other day. Just while she was fast asleep, she just rolled over and smacked herself. It does occasionally occur. Mostly when they're young as well, because of course they're still building up those skills. Hosanna, I say Hosanna is the master of falling out of trees. That's because he takes risks. That's what he has to do as a young leopard. Practice and learn his limits. Like a baby monkey. They also fall out occasionally. Where's your mum? I wonder how far she's walked last night while you've been lazing about in trees. They're both quite itchy. I noticed that yesterday as well. I think the plenty of water has caused an explosion of ticks. We'll ask Steph on his walk. I'm sure he is already covered. Kathy, you want to know what is the highest distance they can fall and land safely? I would guess, and it is a guess, at around about 45, 50 feet. It would not be... Sorry, guys, I'm distracted, but there's so much happening this morning on the Game Drive radio. It's how we all communicate with each other. And I'm just listening to the updates. It's very important that I know what's going on, otherwise we could miss something, and that would be tragic. And the update is that it sounds as though the Nkumas have crossed. Well, I mean, obviously they've crossed, we just saw two of them, but I want to know whether or not it's the rest of the pride as well. Oh, what was I talking about? The height that they can fall out of a tree. I would go further to guess at the fact that I think it's probably better, or a lighter leopard could fall from a higher distance and land comfortably just because they don't have the same mass. So the impact is not as hard. There's some amazing footage of Anderson trying to hoist something. I can't remember what he was doing. The Anderson male is a very big male leopard, and he fell out of a tree. He must have been about 30 feet up. He's fine. But I'm sure it hurt, because it didn't look like he landed on his feet. It looked like he might have landed on his side. But I honestly don't know exactly what the distance is. You'll probably find they're like children and adults as well. Kids seem to bounce. Our leopards have a gift of looking comfortable in the most uncomfortable of positions. And we have a question about whether or not the trees in which they sleep are comfortable to sleep in. And Cedar Point, no. I personally don't think so. I've tried sleeping like a leopard in a marula tree, and I have to tell you that it wasn't very comfortable at all. But then I'm not a leopard, and I don't have a nice soft layer of fur covering me. So maybe it's more comfortable if you're a leopard and shaped like a leopard. They certainly will not go and lie in a thorn tree. They do have certain trees that they like to sit in, marula trees especially, because they tend to have A, no thorns, and B, these nice horizontal branches that they can lie in. Does your sister not want to play, Hosanna? I think she does. I think she's just playing coy. Don't eat the marula leaves. They're yucky. They're not for you, they're for elephants. I'm going to sit with these leopard cubs a bit longer because it looks as though they're being playful again. In the meantime, let's go and find out what Taylor has planned for the rest of your morning.
We're desperately trying to track this male lion, but we haven't seen any footprints just yet. We've still got a little bit of a way to go. So Jamie, that's really what I'm getting up to this morning, is that I'm desperate to see a lion. That is my goal now. I've seen many footprints, but, well, I'm itching to see one. And I'm sure you're all dying to see a Birmingham boy too. But we're just taking it very, very easy along this road because I don't want to miss any tracks. I think Steph has gone in the opposite direction. Oh my goodness, hang on, now we've got an insect in the eye. This is always fun. Now you've got to try and get it out without squashing it in your eye. Okay, I think it's got, nope, still felt it moving. We'll just drive with my one eye. I'll be one-eye wonder today, just for a little bit until the insect decides to drown in the juices of my eyeball, and then I shall fish it out. So I'll just look at you all like this. I need a patch. Be Pirate Taylor. But anyways, that's what we're going to go and do. And there's lots of impala around here as well. It's true. I don't know if there's a lion here just at the moment. Why are these birds all shouting in here? No, it's just the magpie shrikes making the usual noise. Hello guys! Hello Impala! How are you all doing today? Have you had lots of scares? I think you've all seen many, many predators today. I think everyone is on high alert at the moment. Okay. But for now, they seem to be fairly relaxed. They don't look too bothered. But can you imagine being an antelope in the middle of the night and hearing all the roars that I was hearing? And my hearing is nowhere near as good as these guys, so you've got almost surrounded by lion calls coming from the west, coming from the east, and then coming from the south. Then 2 lionesses popping up onto quarantine and running around and chasing all sorts of animals. Of course, Karula's always out and about, and then the rasping of Tingana. Isn't this wonderful? Oh, Impala having a quick groom, but I'm not going to keep you for too much longer from the royal cubs. Let's go take a look. They're playing about.
Having a marvellous time playing about. Shungile's now got the advantage of height, but a slightly less stable position than her brother. And the two of them are... Ooh, Shungile, that's a very thin branch you're standing on. I would not suggest... Aha, yeah, your brother's caught wise. He's not going to be there for you to ambush him. Oh, nearly came a cropper. They're actually making me quite nervous. I'm waiting for one of them to come tumbling out. Another big yawn from us. Oh, never mind. Not quite exactly, Dave. Another aborted yawn from Hosanna. Ellen from Arkansas. Lovely to hear your name again, Ellen. I've completely forgotten what you wanted to know. I'm really sorry. I got distracted by the leopards and I can't remember what you asked. What was it? Favorite branch? There we go. Sorry. Sorry to Ellen and sorry to Megan for making your job slightly more difficult. Ellen, I actually suspect that leopards do have their favorite trees and their favorite branches that they like to lie on. Oh, we got a hiss there from an unimpressed Shungile. Hissing at him, making sure he doesn't knock her out of the tree with his great bulk. I don't know why I say that. I mean, obviously a leopard will go and lie in any tree that happens to be available, but we do see leopards regularly in the same trees. Obviously, they have certain trees that they like to scent mark. Ooh, got Hassan on the back foot. I don't know for absolute certain, but I suspect that they would have certain trees that they also like to lie in. You know, they know the areas so well, they know them as well as your suburb, and if they're capable of remembering where a kill is, why shouldn't they remember where there was a comfortable spot? While these two leaping leopards leap about, let's go and have a look. Steph's got a predator making a kill. Ooh.
We do. While you've been spoiled with lions and leopard today, we've been able to show you a kill. We were able to show you a kill as well. Have a look. Here we've got a green orb spider that's just killed a giant fly, comparatively speaking. And what is quite incredible is the fact that the spider had to... Oh, no, it's not dead yet, the fly. It's still busy being envenomated. And what's interesting is about this spider spent about a minute or two just evaluating where was going to be the best place to bite this particular fly, and chose to come in from the underside of the fly and bite it very close to the head. There we're looking at it now. And the fly put up quite a big fight, but its wings are stuck on the web, which made it a little bit more difficult for it to flap about. And really, once it was bitten, that was around about it, I think, for this particular fly. And what a meal this spider is going to have. It's going to be interesting to see if this spider actually envelops this particular fly in silk, which is quite often what these orb spiders do, is they will bite and then immobilize the prey in a circle of silk. When you pull back, just watch out, you're resting on the web here. That was just me speaking to Craig. To get you these fantastic shots, we sometimes have to get quite close to the web, and what we don't want to do is break this web and disturb the spider. And luckily we haven't. Well done there, Craig. That's good. Your dismount was 10 out of 10. Just have a look at how beautiful that spider is. Now, you can see that in this particular spider's web, there are 3 flies. Now, we've been going on for about a year, probably close to about 2 years now, about the volume of flies over the last 2 years. Something that I haven't seen in the last 18 years of me being in the park. I have never known the fly volume to be what it is. And I've got a theory about it, in that with the decline in us approaching, with the decline in rainfall and with us approaching the drought last year, we had a couple of years where there wasn't enough water, there wasn't enough insect life to sustain the top tier predators, to sustain these spiders. And I think what's happened is the spider numbers have crashed, and with that the resurgence or the massive increase in fly numbers, coupled with all the carcasses that we had last year, and we've just got this unbelievable load of flies. Seeing these spiders here definitely is a big positive, and I think the more spiders we see, the less flies we'll see. But in any case, on that note, why don't we go and send you over to, I think, hang on, sorry, let's just have a look at this quickly. This fly is now dead, it looks like, and there the spider is now walking around the fly rather than spinning its prey. What usually happens, there we go, it's spinning it, and is now, it'll larder it. Talking about lardering, here we go, the spider will now immobilize the fly. Look at that, instead of spinning the fly, because it's too big, the spider was walking around the fly with its silk. I've never actually seen that before. That's incredible. And now she'll tow the fly back to the center of her web, where hopefully she'll start her breakfast. Oh, just absolutely amazing. There she goes, she's now pulling at her web, setting her snares again. The spider will literally catch as many things as she can. Spiders, especially the orb spiders, are well known for lardering their prey. What it does is 2 things. Gives her a food source, but it also creates a sort of visual impact for large predators, not to walk through the web and disturb it when it's got all her food items in. Because if a giraffe or a kudu had to come through here now, the spider's web will be broken, and she will actually lose the fly that she spent so much energy and effort in getting, and she doesn't want that at all. So she's trying to create as much visual impact there as what she can. Right, so back to those fly numbers, and that I think what's going to happen is it'll follow a curve, typical curve, as the fly numbers increase and have increased, and of course the weather returning to a point where these spiders are able to live here again. Their numbers will increase. As their numbers increase, they'll get better at catching all the flies, and the fly numbers will decrease, and so we'll move through these cycles. It's called a predator-prey relationship. It happens all throughout the animal kingdom. Prey numbers rise, predators learn how to catch them, or their numbers increase, whatever the case may be. Prey number decrease. Watch out, chat. There we go. Prey numbers decrease, and so then do predators, following that. With less prey, it's less food for the predators, and then it carries on in this endless cycle. Red, you just asked me if there's a specific spot where the spider injects its venom. You know, up until I've watched this particular spider hunt this fly, Red, I would have said no, it's pretty much where the spider gets to. But to be honest with you, this spider spent easily about a minute just being in the vicinity of this fly. Obviously, it's a massive piece of prey, and she very carefully selected where she was going to bite the fly. And when she made her move, it was directly underneath the fly's head, and she bit it and held on as tightly as what she could. The fly went into a bit of a frenzy and then seemed to settle down as it got itself more entangled. But the spider's venom has completely incapacitated that fly at the moment, and it took probably around about 30 seconds or so. Obviously, a spider's venom does a couple of things. It not only kills the prey, but it also starts to liquefy the inside of that prey item. So at the moment, the fly is dead, but also what's happening is the spider's venom is liquefying the inside of that fly, making it into sort of a fly milkshake. And what will happen there is, what's the spider doing? Looks like she's cutting loose pieces of prey. There she's going to go and fetch another fly. Let's see, there's another. How interesting. No, now she's inspecting it. What are you doing? She's now carried it to the middle. Let's see if she goes and fetches the other fly, which she's got larded up in the top right hand side of the web. Let's see what she does. So there, let's see what she's going to do here. Yeah, she's going straight back to her other prey. Isn't that incredible? She knows exactly where it is. Or is she busy fixing her web here? Yeah, it looks like she's actually fixing her web. Obviously that fly would have caused a major disturbance to her orb web, creating a big hole in it. And look, she's cutting her web. She's cutting it. There she cuts another strand. She's cut another strand. Winter Prism, you've asked me how big will this spider get. This is as big as what she'll get. Let's see what she does now. She may actually cut her whole web and take her food away. Let's see what she does. She's cutting another strand. There she's cut another strand. You know what I think she's doing, and this is just a prediction of mine, is that rather than lose the prey to an impala or wildebeest or whatever walking through here, she's actually going to go and take her food with her to the closest branch. So she's now collected her food. There she's tying them now together. She's banding them together. This is so interesting. Let's see if she can carry both on her silken line behind her. Yes, she's now towing it on one leg. That'd be the same as me towing a wildebeest on my big toe. No, she's hung them again. There she's collecting webs, snipping them off, snipping again. I think that's exactly what the spider's doing. I think what she's doing is she's cutting her web. There she cuts again. That is amazing. You know what a privilege it is to spend time with these little marvels in the bush. Cedar, you wanted to know how they cut their web. Cedar, she will just bite it, to be honest with you. She will bite it and it'll snip the web. In some cases, the spiders will actually eat their web again. I don't think that this is the case in this particular spider. What is interesting is that you see how she's stretched out there now? Now she keeps on moving her larder from one strand to another. There we go. She's cut the bottom strands. Okay, just be careful, Craig, because now I can blow into you. She's now cut, oh, there she goes and fetches her other fly. Let's see if she takes that back to her larder. No. She's going to cut the strand. I think she's going to cut the main strand now. No, still not. All right, let's see. She's busy dragging her prey up to her. There she goes. Look at that. Look how she reeled it in. How strong must she be? Easily, that fly plus the other fly, you're looking at 3 times her body weight. Look at that. There she goes. Now she's taking her groceries with her to the leaf as predicted, and she's going to spend the rest of the day eating her food in the safety of this leaf. That is the sighting of the day, everybody. Well, for me at least anyway. Aurora, you've asked me what my favorite spider is. Whoa, that's a difficult one, Aurora. I'd probably say one of the more sophisticated of the spiders in terms of hunting, the ogre-faced spider or the net-casting spider, spitting spiders. You can go and have a look at them in your, wherever you're sitting at the moment. So ogre-faced spiders are a favorite of mine. The spitting spiders are a favorite. Let's see what the spider does. Isn't that incredible that we managed to almost predict what she was going to do there, this particular green orb spider? Let's see if she's managed to secure. So now she's got her prize, big prize for her. That is a lot of food that she's got there for herself. And she's now said, no, I'm not going to hang around with this where an impala or a giraffe or a kudu can steal it from me. We're going to put it on the leaf. That is incredible. Really, a proper sighting. And there she goes up into her leaf. And that's where she's going to spend the rest of her day. Nice. All right. That gives us some time to say, catch a breath, regroup, I suppose. And we're going to send you over to those leopard with Jamie. Really epic sighting.
Sounds as though Steph has had an amazing time with those spiders. In the meantime, our leopard cubs have played themselves flat. They're exhausted, and I don't blame them. There were some moments where my heart sort of leapt a little bit. I thought one of them was sure to come tumbling out of the tree, but they didn't. They both managed to cling on, occasionally just by their claws, but they're both intact and settled down away from each other. Dave, there were some interesting moments there, chasing each other right to the edge of branches. What is very, very apparent is that Hosana's, well, I mean, we always knew this, and Hosana is not as agile as Shungile. He is a lot heavier than she is, and he's also grown at a far greater speed. So keeping track of all of those long limbs is perhaps a bit more challenging for him. But he's definitely not quite as quick as she is, which works to her advantage because, of course, he's got the massive weight advantage, and he knows how to use it. So Shungile has to be one step ahead of him to stop herself being pushed out of the tree. I don't think I'm going to stick around with these two for too much longer, just because I'm dying to know where those lionesses went. I want to go and see whether or not they've come out of the boggy block. And Skip, who is 11 years old from Texas and one of our regular viewers. Skip, you want to know if all big cats have retractable claws? No, but leopards and lions definitely do. And they need them to be retractable because they need to keep them tucked away and sharp and clean until they need to use them either for climbing up into a tree or for catching their prey or for fighting off other predators. But there is a big cat out here that does not have retractable claws, and that is a cheetah. Cheetah, it's one of the reasons why they're not included in the same genus as the leopards and the lions. He's having a good scratch of his head. The The Panthera big cats all have retractable claws, but cheetah do not. So cheetah cannot roar like leopards or lions, and they cannot retract their claws. And when you touch a cheetah's leg and you feel its feet, they actually almost feel like dog feet, to be completely honest. They feel like a sort of a hunting dog's legs. That skinny, powerful feel to them. Their claws sticking out. And that's for traction. So Skip, the reason that they don't retract their claws, they can move them, so they are semi-retractable, but they always stick out. And the reason is so that they can run really fast and gives them good traction. And they hunt in a slightly different way to leopards and lions, which is why you won't ever see a cheetah really springing onto the back of an animal. Most of the time they reach out and try and sweep its legs out from under it by using their paws, as a bat rather than a grab. I heard that Taylor was also having similar thoughts to myself in terms of searching for lions. I think we should go across to her and see how that's going. Sorry, I'm trying to click out my back, and apparently Taylor is... That was really awkward. That was really unfortunate, Meg. Trying to click my back. Sorry, everybody, for the funny faces pulled. There's nothing like having to drive for 6 hours a day to remind your back muscles that they should keep working. Hey, Dave. At least I don't have it as bad as you bouncing in the back there. And my back still won't click, to add insult to injury. Right, let's leave these leopard cubs and go off in search of lions. You can all come with me. It's all right, Megan. Stop apologizing. It wasn't your fault. I should have waited to click my back until we were off air anyway. Shall I pull another weird face as I link, just for fun? And shall I twist round the other way? Let's go back to Taylor with the spider.
It's not just any spider, it's a fishing spider, so they are able to run along the surfaces of the water. Well, they specialize in moving on the surface of the water, and these are the spiders that will catch tadpoles, they will catch boatmen, I'm sure, too, and any other little things that are in there. Now, I'm not sure if it's eating something, it's a bit hard to tell, but it's definitely moving its pedipalps around quite close to its jaw, so I think that it may be nibbling on a delicious treat. But how beautiful is the coloration? Yes, it is. Look, it is eating. I can't tell you what it is, though, because it is so, so small. It's not a particularly big spider. Let me just look at it. No, I can't even give you a measurement as to how big it is. If you're from South Africa, the body is about the size of a 2 rand coin. I don't know what any other currencies. I'm terrible. I can't think of any coins. But it's not particularly big. Long legs, but wonder what it's caught. Now, there's not just the little spider that's here. There's another tiny little terrapin. We'll try and find that, though, in a moment. But it could be eating a tadpole. Could be eating an insect of some sort. Aurora, you're wondering how many different types of spiders we have in South Africa. My goodness, thousands. Thousands of spiders. I'm not exactly sure of the number. I can have a look for you when I get back to camp, and then I shall let you know on the afternoon safari, but there are thousands and thousands of them. Obviously, you get different orders and different family groups, and within that you'll have the various species as well. So you get quite a few different species of fishing spiders. This is one of them. I've actually never seen one like this with the coloration. What's that crawling close to its leg? Do you see that there, Brian? It was like a little insect. Or was it a tadpole? No, something is moving around, a little beetle of some sort, a water beetle, moving around there. You're lucky that that spider has already got a meal. Otherwise, it could have caught you. But yes, this is like a spectacular water spider. It almost looks like a little bit like a rain spider, but not quite. We get rain spiders in South Africa, which is a combination, almost like a thin baboon spider. Very hairy, but not quite as robust. And that's what this one looks like. And if you look very, very carefully, you actually may be able to see the little spikes that it has on its legs. Now, normally spiders have got lots of hairs on their bodies. That's quite normal. However, those very rigid spikes that it has on its legs will actually help it to grab any insects or tadpoles and things that are swimming underneath the water. It'll be able to grab them and hold on tight so that they can't get away. But this is fascinating. We just popped our noses through this little puddle and we spotted it. Miguel, you're wondering if spiders groom themselves? Indeed they do. Most of the animals out in the bush are meticulous when it comes to keeping clean, and spiders do exactly that. I think it must be a little bit difficult, but we actually see you know which spider cleans themselves the most, or the one that we see most commonly, I think, is the golden orb, and then the garden orbs as well are often cleaning themselves, and they'll most likely use their pedipalps. Do you see those little you can see obviously the big jaws directly below the eyes of the spider, and then there's two little arms just next to those. They'll normally use the pedipalps to do something like that. Where's our little terrapin? I'm not looking at the spider right now. I'm just trying to have a scan because it was the teeniest, tiniest terrapin, which was really amazing. But what a fantastic spider. What we'll do is we'll have a little splash about here, and I'll see if I can find a terrapin for you. But let's go across to Steph, who seems to have made himself a trap.
I have found a track, and it's such an interesting track. I'll be honest with you that you only see this track once every couple of years. And it's because the scrub hare has lots of fur on its feet that it leaves a very faint indentation on the surface. So what I'm going to show you here is where scrub hare got stuck in the mud. This is a scrub hare's one front foot, this is a scrub hare's other front foot, and these two tracks here are the back feet where the scrub hare had to jump out of the mud. So you can see the force that was pushed into this particular jump. It squashed the mud up on that side. The two outside toes are clearly imprinted with the two inside toes, and then have a look at these rake marks from the nail, scratched in there as it jumped out of the mud and got stuck. Now what's interesting in this particular track, apart from the sequence, is that even in this front track we can see some detail, and you can actually see the hairs that have been squashed into the track on the side of the track. That is just so unreal. It's just, the detail is very nice. So what I'd urge you to do is take a screenshot of this particular track and label it as scrub hare stuck in the mud. You will very rarely ever see a track like this ever in any tracking book or anything that you find. It's just so difficult to see. So scrub hare, two front feet, two back feet, and the power that it put into the kick to jump out of the mud here is just fantastic. Further down in the sequence, I want to show you where we might be able to get a little bit of detail. Whoop, I'm almost slipping over here. We might be able to get a little bit of detail on the actual track. I'm going to see if we can find you a track here where we can show you. This is where the scrub hare actually came into this mud. Ooh. Here we go. Here's a bit of detail here. I'll put my Leatherman. This is just for scale. So this is a back track. There you can see the back track, and you can see where the fur broke the edges there, and why it makes such a difficult track to identify, except when you've got mud like this beautiful substrate that we've got. So there's a back track there of a scrub hare for you to take a screenshot of for this particular sequence. And then let's move over to a little bit more of an indistinct track here and see if I can give you another look at over here. So here we've got what you normally see with a scrub hare. The two back feet here, and I can only see one front foot here. So you've got two back feet, 1, 2, and the one front foot, and that's the hopping pattern. So it would probably be like this, and then, well, hang on, wait, let me just try and get this right. So hop, front legs come down, back legs come forward, front legs, back legs, and it hopped from here, there's another 2 back legs there together. Here's another 2 back legs here, there and there. It actually looks like there were 2 individuals here, because here we've got another set. Unless it was the same scrub hare returning to the same place. And then come and have a look over here. This is just the last one for you in this particular sequence, which gives the hair on the track the perfect detail. There's the toes of the scrub hare, the 2 back feet and the 1 front foot. And you can see the hairs. When Craig gets nice and tight on that, you'll be able to take a screenshot there and have a look at that track. Just an absolutely fantastic story here of scrub hares in the mud with their furry feet. Now, James Richard, you just said that this is a new track for your tracking book. Good luck. Please, yeah, definitely label it that scrub hare thing. I'm glad. Send me a couple of pictures from your tracking book. I'd love to see what you've got going in there. But that was just so nice to see, is that quite rare track. I mean, why the scrub hare would come and drink, it's probably come to drink in the puddle. Why it wouldn't drink here, why it would risk getting stuck in the mud there is anyone's guess, but I suppose we just need to say thank you to the scrub hare for allowing us to see these tracks. And now you've got a nice, clear picture of that scrub hare. A couple of different feet in the mud and an action, kicking out of the mud like that, getting a bit of a fright to kick out of the mud. Very nice. I like stories like that, to be honest. It's we're having a good morning here, actually. Anyway, well, I'm going to send you over to, I cannot remember what was just said in my ear now. It was a bad habit of mine, I'm sorry. But we're going to send you over to one of my colleagues and we'll catch up with you a little bit.
Steph, I'm devastated. Did you forget my name there for a second? Oh, we've got very, very fresh female leopard tracks walking down this road. There they go. She's marking her territory. She keeps going off up towards sort of quarry bushes and combretums. So her tracks weave along the road, but these are very fresh. I just want to check on something on the Game Drive radio, if I can find it in the chaos that is this vehicle. Our stations, did anybody drive Balanites this morning? A deafening silence. I'm going to take that as a no. Nkonzo former Fuzzy Ingwe going west along Balanites Road. I'm going to be following up. I wonder if this is Karula or Shadow. Could be either on this road. It's right on the boundary of their territory. Zzz. I've seen Karula in that marula tree before. Oh, drat. Did they just go off? Yes. Sorry. Let me just... Slight height disadvantage there. No, they're still there. Can't really properly see over the bonnet, even though I sit on 3 blankets. Not a problem that Brent has, funnily enough. I also always have to move the seat. It's always entertaining watching Brent getting into, or anybody actually, getting into the vehicle that I've driven, with their knees up around the steering wheel. Okay, Dave, keep a sharp eye. These tracks are very fresh. They are smoking hot. And she stopped, scraped, changed direction, went in there. Does she come back out again? Is there a leopard in a marula tree? I wonder who it is. Just do one more pull over. Nope, she's back on the road. Walking down the middle. That's very inconvenient of her. Makes it a lot harder to see in this damp soil. Sorry everybody, I'm just focusing on seeing where this leopard went and making sure I don't miss something obvious. No, she's still on this road. The further west she goes, the more likely it is to be shadow. Okay, not as fresh as I thought originally, because a dove has walked across them. It's one of the reasons why it's useful to learn random tracks rather than just say, for example, leopard and lion and so on. Knowing what the different tracks are tells you how old a track is. So where's the one that I saw that was quite good? Dave, if we can look, there-ish. There we go. Is that the one that I was thinking of? It's very hard to see in this light now. It's almost impossible for me to show you what I'm looking at. But you'll just have to take my word that a dove walked straight through the leopard track, which tells us that the leopard tracks probably come from before it got light, because emerald spotted wood doves, like all of the diurnal birds, only really come out once the sun, once it's light enough for them to see. So not as fresh as previously thought. Ah, Destiny, the fuzzy ingwe. We often get asked that. You wanted to know what the word was that I was using on the Game Drive channel, and you said it sounded like I was saying a fuzzy ingwe. I'm not saying fuzzy, I'm saying fuzzy, which actually technically isn't correct. That means woman. So I basically said there is a woman leopard walking down the road. So it isn't technically correct. One hlati is actually the correct term for a female animal. But I'm using fuzzy kind of colloquially. It's traditionally accepted on the Game Drive channel. And generally the languages are a mixture of Zulu, English, a little bit of Afrikaans sometimes thrown in, but mostly it's Xitsonga and Shangaan that we use to talk to each other. And it's sort of common practice with various guides to speak in that way on the Game Drive channel. I'm naughty, I shouldn't have actually said fuzzy ingwe, but I wasn't really properly concentrating, and old habits die hard. I've lost these tracks. Want to know if it's shadow or if it is Karula. The fact that they came this far west makes me think shadow. Let's go and check the boundary with Arethusa and just see whether or not she's crossed there. It would be nice to see shadow, since we were talking about her earlier, and it has been a while since we've caught up with her. She's a mysterious one, Shadow. She disappears for extended periods of time. Now, this is quite a busy road, so my concentration might need to be focused on the leopard tracks. Let's go across to Taylor for an update.
Jamie, you get all the concentration that you need, and good luck with your search on the leopard. I hope that you find another one. And Jamie, I can't wait to tell Brent about all the animals that we found this morning as well. I'm sure you're just as excited. Oh, look, oh my goodness, squirrel chasing hornbills. Are you running so fast, squirrel? Calm down. You're going to give yourself a heart attack. You are not Usain Bolt. You cannot do sprints like that. Look at it, shaking and panting. I think it got a bit of a fright. It must have come down the marula tree as we came off the corner, probably scavenging for, or not scavenging, but foraging for some nuts from the marulas. Excuse me, off it goes again. Look at the stamina that squirrel has. That's very impressive. Does it have a mouth full? I don't know, it looked like it had a very full mouth for a second there, so I wonder if it hasn't got one or two nuts inside. But that is most certainly also a boy squirrel. And I'm sure you don't need to know why that's, well, I'm sure you saw that that's a boy squirrel. But it is, it's looking for nuts. But it's not just the squirrel that's here, it's the hornbills too. A variety of them. Feasting on, what are they eating, Brian? Ants or termites? Termites. Is there a harvested termite nest there? There must be, yes. I can see a little bit of grass just where the tail is of that hornbill, that red-billed hornbill. So I'm sure that they are pecking away quite nicely at some termites. Having a great breakfast. It's a little food party here. I'm actually going to go up further because, like we said, it's not just the birds. We saw the squirrel. And there's starlings and all sorts of other critters in the road. Let me shoot. I'm going to poke my nose forward about a meter. And then I think we'll see the rest of them. It's actually quite nice. Just don't want to go too far. I don't want to scare them. But I also want to get close enough so that you can all see very nice. Let's go over here. Don't birds settle now. Settle birds. Here we go. I think this is a little bit closer. But they're all the way down the end. That one's going through the mud. That one ain't scared. There must be some insects that are stuck in there. Those two are running away from us. They're now having a little bit of an argument. It looks like there's a bit of a termite mound where they are at the moment as they hide behind the long grass. Very, very active out here this morning. There's everything. I think we're going to go and visit lots of termites. These birds are very funny. I don't know if any of you also think that the way that they run, this is what it reminds me of. It reminds me of olden days. It's just one of my brother's favorite words. He always used to talk about the olden days. But I'm talking about, having a squabble. But I think that they look like ladies from maybe their early settler days with their big dresses and their bonnets and things. And it's as if they had to pick up those very heavy long dresses and then I'll actually demonstrate. Let's demonstrate. Just see if you can get what I'm talking about. So you've got I've got my long cable. That can go over the shoulder. Long dress, little bonnet to everything. You have to pick it up from the bottom because it's heavy, and then you run like this. That's what those birds remind me of doing. That's my silliness for the day done now. But I always have a good giggle when I see them moving around like that. And particularly the red-billed hornbills. I don't know, they seem to lift their legs up a little bit higher. But yes. Let's see what else is happening. I can actually see them all bouncing about on another termite mound. Let's have a quick look at this termite mound. Because it's nice and open and I often see the hornbills. And our squirrels also here. Let me pull off over this way. Oh, they are. There must be a lot of action going on here around this termite mound because there's a starling, a Cape Plus starling, all the hornbills trying to get right inside that chimney where I'm sure the large fungus growing termites will just be resting, keeping out the heat of the day. But not too much action. I think we may have startled them, so we shall leave. We'll give them an opportunity to continue feeding. But let's go across to Steph now, who's got, well, my favorite part of an amphibian.
I completely disagree with that statement that there's not too much action. I think Taylor imitating how a hornbill walks is noteworthy and should be filmed and saved for later use. What you are looking at over here is about 1,000 tadpoles in a roadside puddle. This black stain that you're having a look at is made up of many hundreds of individuals, possibly even 1,000, and this is only half of them. The other half split off and went into deeper water when we got here. And there's obviously a bit of a feeding frenzy going on here at the moment. It looks like they're all circling the same patch. Excuse me, they're all attached to the bottom, swimming furiously, enough to create their own currents in this particular pond. Have a look at the swirl of water. So they're all, this group of tadpoles are all swirling anti-clockwise. This particular group of tadpoles all swimming clockwise. And then this one all anti-clockwise again. And it's creating this movement of water. It's just unbelievable. I don't even know why. There are algae feeding at this particular point. They'll be feeding on algae. For those of you who followed James's tadpole adventure and his tadpoles that he was bringing up in January and February would know that they're ferocious algae eaters. You can actually see, if we come and have a look at these ones here, and we get a little bit closer, every now and again one turns on its back and you can actually see the grey algae in their tummies. So that grey spot that you see there is a tadpole that'll turn on its belly, and that is its intestine, and the greyness inside there is basically the algae that you can see. Come to these ones here, I think they're going to be a bit easier. You can see there, these ones that are turned upside down, you can see their intestines full of the algae there as they use their beaks to get in underneath the substrate. Fascinating. Now there is water pouring in, and perhaps that is why they're here. The water is actually entering this puddle. We can have a look over here. You can see the flow of water is into the puddle, and maybe that's why these tadpoles of here is here. This is where all the new oxygenated water, this is where the new nutrients will be coming into the pan, and these tadpoles could be swirling around, very similar to how a herd of wildebeest will swirl around a grass, the fringe of the grass. The hungriest ones coming to the front, the ones that have had some food moving to the back, and basically just making the most of the food coming in. I think that's exactly what's happening over here. So now that we know, so we've got water coming in from here and here, and that is why these tadpoles are here. It's literally just to make use of the fresh water and the fresh food that's coming in at this point. You can see with the highest concentrations here being where the volume of water is the highest. Now Kelly, you've just asked me if these tadpoles are social. Yes, to a point, Kelly. I would say that frogs are not that social. They're not, they don't hang around in herds together like impala would do. What happens is they're all born together at the same time. Frogs will release their eggs virtually at the same time. They'll be fertilized at the same time, and so it's feasible to think that all these eggs will hatch at the same time. They then grow up in a pond that is prone to drying up, and so that they all grow at the same rate, plus minus. And what happens there is they all fight for the same resource, and so they all gather at the same resource, and that's what we're seeing over here. We're seeing these tadpoles fighting for the fresh water coming in off of the seep. We then got all the tadpoles growing into frogs, and it looks like they'll all be together, but in actual fact what they're doing is they're in massive competition with each other for mating rights over females that'll be in this area. And so although you might see a bunch of frogs together with one another in a pan, I would say at this point that frogs are not social, that they're definitely individuals, and the only reason why we see them together would be because they compete for the same resource in a very limited area, and that would be these pans that we're seeing here. But this is just incredible. I'm glad that we managed to look at this. The rate of flow is increasing. Now Rachel, you wanted to know how long the seepage will run water for. Rachel, this seepage will probably run water for the next couple of weeks. I would imagine they definitely run here January, February, March, but you can have a look here. Have a look at how the water is coming out of my footprint here. You can actually see how much water is actually coming out of the ground here. So Rachel, a lot of water is coming out here. It's the second most important water source in the Sabi Sand, next to the Sand River, and I tell you, just incredible to see. All right, we are going to say goodbye for now. We're going to carry on down this road. It's been an incredible road for stuff, and I hope that we're going to be showing you more stuff down there when we send you over to Taylor for an update.
I'm not Taylor, I'm Jamie. Steph doesn't want to remember my name this morning. I'm going to have to give him grief. Perhaps it's revenge for the flamingo. It must be. He must be just so deeply devastated that we found a flamingo and he hasn't found us a honey badger yet, Dave. He promised, he said he'll find us a honey badger if we found him a flamingo, and so far we've made good on our deal. Maybe you must tell Steph he has to find a honey badger now. The tracks of this female leopard have disappeared. I wonder if she didn't hear Tingana calling. Goodness, I'm just going to turn that down. This block is absolutely massive, and it is also part of a seep line. So unless we get lucky and bump into this female leopard along this road, I think I'm probably going to abandon the search. Steph says I need animal behavioral lessons because honey badgers only come out at night. I really want to find a daytime picture of a honey badger now. All right, Steph, touche. Touche. I can wait for tonight. That's okay too. Hey, Dave. We all had to eat our words where Steph was concerned, and his great deluge, especially when the tarpaulin that sits over the DRC to shelter all of our tables collapsed under the weight of the water. We had to all apologize for mocking him about his predictions of a lot of rain. Well, in theory, we should have apologized. I don't think any of us actually have got around to it yet. Sorry, Steph. I'll say it live. I eat my words. I'm sorry we mocked you for your predictions of lots of rain. Because there's so much water around. And it's making our lives slightly difficult when it comes to driving. Let's go and see if those lionesses have popped up. The rest of the pride are west of Djuma, so they're not far away from where these two lionesses are now. Right up close to the Simbambili cut line with Arathusa. So they are there, which means these lionesses could actually rejoin the rest of the pride. Possibly today. I've seen the Nkuhumas move around. It's cool, it's cloudy. I've even seen them move around in the heat at 10 o'clock in the morning. So they could still get there. Let's go and see whether or not they've made any moves out of the Great Swamp. That has already claimed one vehicle as its victim this morning. Oh, millipede. Just making sure we don't squash our local arthropod life. What do you think, Dave? Try for those... Yes, let's try for those lions. And for viewers that have just joined us, don't forget to send through your questions using the hashtag safariLIVE on Twitter. Questions and comments. Now everything's gone from very busy to very quiet very quickly. Hopefully those lionesses have popped out. There's also part of me that wonders whether or not they might actually try and lie in wait in that vegetation and wait for some of the animals to relax around quarantine. With two lionesses, that zebra herd, all that wildebeest would be the perfect target for them. Right, I'm going to go search for our lions, see whether or not they've popped out. In the meantime, let's head over to our animal behavioral expert, Steph, to see some tracks of a creature that comes out at night.
Jamie. This is for all of you with tracking, the tracking that we seem to be doing after all the rain and the mud today. This sequence of tracks, let's see if you can guess it. I'm going to be showing you the features of it, and then I'll tell you what it is, and then you can take a photograph of it for your tracking book, especially to James Richards. Now, what's noticeable in this particular track is that it's quite deep, so the animal's quite heavy, and three big toes, one toe there, one toe there, and one toe there. And you can see the size of the track is about the size of my hand. And see there, if you know what it is, give us a shout on the hashtag safariLIVE. Otherwise, I'm going to keep on telling you the distinguishing characteristics. This is more like the track that you're most likely to see in the dry times. So very pronounced end of the toes. You can see there almost a human-like fingernail that's been dug in there. So not long claws. If it was a long sharp claw, the claws would end away from the toes. But 1, 2, 3 toes prominent like this, with the nails in the end there. And what is quite rare is the fact that we've got a nice front foot here. Excuse me, back foot. A nice back foot here. So front foot and back foot, which you don't often see. Let's come down to this track over here. This is probably a little bit better to see. Let me put my Leatherman next to it, just for your tracks. That's a more typical track. 1, 2, 3 toes with a pronounced claw of the front foot with the back foot, which you don't often see behind it there. Any guesses just yet? Now, Colleen, you've said it's a baby hippo. Colleen, a baby hippo has 4 toes, similar to the adults, and this one only has 3. So although you probably got the size right for a baby hippo, about fist size for a baby hippo like this, the fact is that with the 3 toes, it can't be, and there's quite a noticeable difference between the front foot and the back foot over here. So front foot, this is a typical track of this particular animal. Yes, and Himune has gotten it right. Himune, you said it's an aardvark. You're absolutely right. So there is a typical track of an aardvark or an ant bear. And although we see the front foot quite often in a lot of detail because of those very pronounced and heavy on the toenails, you don't often see the back foot, and that's what we've got for you over there. So let's go back to this track over here. So take your screenshots. Sorry, Craig. Take your screenshots over there and send it to James if he's not online anymore. And then let's go to these ones over here, which is probably, look how splayed open the toes got here from the mud. So what happened is the mud squashed the toes open, and this is a pretty atypical track of an ant bear or an aardvark. I'll put my Leatherman there for some scale there for you, and you can take a picture there or a screenshot of your atypical aardvark track. Very, very nice. And this particular aardvark moved off in this direction and is quite easy to follow. I've always said we could probably find an aardvark. So went up here, through here. Here we can see some more tracks here. Now looking very similar to the tracks of a warthog or a bush pig. In actual fact, the first time I ever was asked to identify an aardvark track, I got it wrong in an assessment because I called it a warthog. Here it's gone up here. Here we go. Here you can see how those nails have scratched open the soil. So you can see how the track has changed completely from what it was at the water. Very difficult, very different now. So here we go. And then we can start seeing, even in the sand here, this is what you normally see. So let me give you a photograph here. So this is normally what is seen with an aardvark track in soft sand. You can see now almost no evidence of the toes and only evidence of the nails. The front of the track. So there you can go for your tracking books. Aardvark in soft sand. And then let's follow it up here. This is going to get more difficult as we go, I'm sure. Now, Rebecca, you wanted to know what I have in my bushwalk backpack. I suppose I should show you, Rebecca. It's going to be the easiest way, and in particular because I've now lost the track of this aardvark. And the reason why I've lost the track of the aardvark is because I'm trying to track for track, and that's not the best way with a heavy animal. Best way with a heavy animal is you actually got to lift your head up and have a look where the grass has been bent, and when I look up I can actually see where this aardvark walked here. So let's just walk into this open clearing, and I will at this point take off my pack. and show you. There we go. Here's where the aardvark walked. You can see the nails. Much easier when you start lifting your head. You start to see where they've gone. Well, what I carry in my backpack, some gaffer tape, which is always important when you're working with a camera crew, an EpiPen, because this will save my life if I get stung by a bee, and obviously it give me some time to get to a hospital. Cable ties, very important, so that I can tie up things that break and get loose and bang and go crazy. I also have a magnifying glass in here somewhere. There we go. My magnifying glass for starting fires out here and for looking at detail of tiny little insects. So that's inside there. And put this all back there. Then in the main pocket, or on the sides, I carry a hat for when the sun gets really intense, and I carry a bit of paracord. I made this the other day in my I was a bit bored, so I made one of these paracord survival bracelets. Not that I wear the thing, of course, but it's just nice. That's probably about 8 foot of paracord there. What I'd use it for, I don't know, towing a car, tying myself up in a tree, who knows. Haven't quite decided on a use for that just yet. Inside the main pack, I carry a water bottle and a canteen. There's a canteen there. You'll see me use it sometimes. I carry a bag for my binoculars in case it gets really rainy. I carry a bag full of tricks. Inside here I have hand wash, because I'm fastidious about keeping my hands clean even though I put a bunch of stuff in my mouth. I carry cotton and thread. I use that to sew buttons that I constantly rip off of my shirts. I carry a first aid kit for myself, even though we've got a big first aid kit in Herbie's bag, but this has got headache tablets, rehydrate, plasters, a lighter, some antacid, a couple of fire starters, and that's that one. And then, what else? Oh, I carry a fire making kit with some potassium permanganate and some glycerine. In here I carry a fire stick, a striker, just to make fire when it's dry. Now these things don't work at all. What else do I have inside this particular bag of tricks? Just some more plasters for scratches and things, and that. Oh, and I also carry a snail shell and some emergency toilet paper in case somebody needs to find me in the bush, you know, and you hang it from the trees. And that's about that. That's what I carry in my backpack. All right. Hopefully that helps. Why don't we go and have a look at some cool bird that Taylor's got to show you.
This is a very special one. It's one that we don't get to see very often, a Goliath heron. And I'd love to hear what number bird this will be on your bird list, because it's not one that we see very often in this area. But with all the water and the rain that we've had, it's now formed these beautiful wetlands, and we can see massive birds like this. I haven't seen a Goliath heron in a very, very long time. I think this is the first time I've actually seen one in the Sabi Sand before, which is really, really special for me. This is absolutely fantastic, and I hope that you enjoy it just as much as me. But it's the largest heron that we get in southern Africa. It is massive. I'm not actually sure how tall it stands, but it must be. Let me check on my birding app very quickly how tall a Goliath heron is. Like I said, I haven't seen one in such a long time. I've almost forgotten how big they are. And they've got a big wingspan too. Let's go heron. Let's have a very, very quick look. We need to find the Goliath, the biggest one, please. Where are you, Goliath heron? Yes, here we go. So right, I'm just going to quickly have a look. Oh my goodness. So it stands at just under 1.5 meters tall. So that's massive for a bird, and it's actually quite heavy. And it weighs just under 4.5 kilograms. So that must be about 9 pounds or so. And Interesting fact, it's actually the world's largest heron. So here we go, you're looking at the world's largest heron. Pretty amazing, and striking colors too. Beautiful big yellow eye. I love those little streaks that it has got going down its breast, and then on the back it's sort of a lightish brown color as well. Brent would be so happy if he was out. Sorry, let me just turn the game drive radio down. He would be very, very excited to add this to his bird list, and I'm so sad that he's not out here and he wasn't the one to find it. He set himself a challenge, and I know that he would really, really appreciate something along these lines. Isn't that wonderful? Fantastic. So like I said, let us know what number this is on your bird list. Josh, you said that this is number 51. It seems like you've just starting out on your bird list, which is fantastic. Keep on going, Josh. And I don't know when we'll see a bird like this again. Like I said, it's very, very special for this. Oh, wow. Fuzzman Sparkles, this is bird 194. Well done. That's very, very good. So you can see the viewers who have been watching for a very long time have put these bird lists together, and it's just a nice little checklist to sort of go through. Is there anybody that has hit 200 because of the Goliath heron that we've just found this morning? If you have, like I said, hashtag safariLIVE, and I'd love to hear from you. I think 200 is a very lucky number for when it comes to birding. Nina, this is number 201. Well done. You on your mark to almost seeing most of the, almost the 250 odd species that we see on a regular basis in the area. That's not including sort of all the vagrants and the migrants and things. Those are just the sort of common ones. So well done to all of you. That is fantastic news. Now, it's actually not just... DMC, you've just starting out your list. You said that this is number 1. Good for you. DMC, I'm going to show you a second bird, third bird, fourth bird, fifth bird. Should we see how many we can get? There is actually an African fish eagle also sitting in the tree in a leadwood. Hello. Look at that. So there we go. There's number 2 for you. That is a very special bird too. There's also some Egyptian geese down below. We'll just add a couple of birds here for a DMC. There we go. That's your third bird. And then if we go a little bit to the left, there is a wood sandpiper. So there we go. DMC, 4 birds for you all in one area. There are a couple more around here, but the gremlins seem to be attacking us this morning. So let's go back across to Jamie.
I'm very impressed that Taylor managed to find you a Goliath heron. I haven't seen one this year, and I'm slightly jealous that you got to see that. I wonder where it is. I really enjoy Goliath herons. All herons, I feel like we miss out on seeing them. Especially the watching a green-backed night heron fish for its prey is amazing. They grab a leaf or something and they dangle it in the water. And they basically bait the fish to try and get them to come to the surface so they can catch them, which is amazing. No luck with our lions, I'm afraid. They have not popped out of the soggy boggy area. And we'll go back towards where the leopard cubs were and see, you never know, we might find lions lying in the shade and the leopard cubs up in a tree. They might have decided they don't want to lie. That's actually very cool. Hold on. I'll try and show you. You can just see giraffe heads poking out of the bushes. Dave, I'm going to ask you for a favor before we look at these giraffe. It must be just the way that termite mound is shaped. And try and get us a good view. You see what I'm seeing? Oh dear, I have to go a bit further back. I'm sure it's just a funny shaped termite mound. You see what I'm seeing? It's not lions lying, no, it is not lions lying on a termite mound. It is just a termite mound. I was worth double checking. Or maybe they might still be interested in the giraffe. But that was wishful thinking. And now, of course, my giraffe heads have all but vanished. We'll see them as we go around the corner, I think. It's the same pair that the lions chased off quarantine. That's the other thing. There is not a single animal on quarantine at the moment, which is the big open area that we saw those lions running across at the start of the sunrise safari. Everything has disappeared. This herd of zebra that we've been watching for the last 3 days vanished. Impala have all skittered off. And not that you can blame them for wanting to get away from those lions. They did have a rather chaotic start to their morning. I think if it had just been a little bit darker, those lioness might have been successful. It's been very odd weather today, Bob. Bob Brown says that it looks as though storm clouds are forming. I know, but then they break up and then they come back together. It's weird weather. I'll show you as we go around this corner. I keep taking my jumper on and off. Can't decide if I'm hot or cold. Now I'm hot, actually. As soon as the sun comes out. But we had this weird thin mist this morning. And then it keeps building up and looking like it's going to rain on us. I don't know what the weather predictions say, because then we can naturally assume the opposite. Look at that. I laid down the gauntlet for Steph, and once again he is rising to the challenge. Let's go and see whether he can track down the animal he's found tracks for.
So the challenge is there, finding the honey badger, and how you find a honey badger without luck, of course, is you start with their tracks. And here we have a very interesting track. So obviously a deep hole, and that hole is very deep, much deeper than what a honey badger would be able to reach. And that's what originally stopped me at this particular track. How I know it's a honey badger is, let's just go to the back of the track over here so that I can show you. There's a honey badger's track. Very similar to I suppose a bear, in that it's got a plantigrade footprint. Let me put my knife there for some scale for you, for those of you taking the screenshots this morning. So back of the track, back of the track here, which you don't often see, and then the 3 toes with the claws, the sharp claws, there and there, far away from the toe. So sharp claw there and there. 1, 2, 3. It's actually got 4 toes, but you quite often only see the 3 toes, and then the foot here, there, the structure of the foot. So nice, decent photograph of a honey badger, a large honey badger. Now, what has it been digging for here? Quite often when honey badgers dig in this particular area, we find the remnants of scorpions here. And in this particular instance, I actually thought that it was looking for a scorpion, but I've changed my mind. If Craig comes and tries to zoom in here over my left shoulder, you're going to see a bunch of buzzing insects. These buzzing insects are sweat bees or mopani flies. Not all of them, some of them of actual flies. But I think that this honey badger has dug out the nest of a mopani fly colony or mopani bee colony. They will nest in wood, but they also nest in the ground. They make a tube. James had a nest in his tent in the skull of the giraffe, and quite often we were watching the little sweat bees, the mopani flies, coming out of their wax tube, and it was just such a phenomenal thing. But this is where they live, outside of James' tent in a giraffe skull. They can also live in the ground, and I think such a deep cavity, the honey badger would only have gone to such depths to try and dig out this. And it's in particular with me being swarmed by these little sweat bees, but only here and not anywhere else. I think that that is what this honey badger was doing here. All right, so Jamie, the last 20 minutes or so of the show, challenge accepted to try and find this honey badger for you. We'll keep you updated, and we're going to go over now to find out what they are up to.
Steph, I have complete faith in you. If anyone can do it, you can. There we go. There our giraffe that I saw earlier from a distance. Very nervous. and unsettled, constantly looking back, making sure they're not being followed by the lions. There's the little baby at the back, safe and sound. I didn't realize there were 4 giraffe. I only saw 2 this morning. Might have been that they just joined up with the mum and the calf, because I don't think I saw the calf either this morning. I was worried that it was there, but I didn't actually see it. This is a female giraffe, and there's something wrong with her. I'm just trying to have a look and see. It looks like she's got a growth between her back legs. I don't think those... It doesn't look normal to me. I don't think it's just swollen nipples from pregnancy. I think there's actually... She's got some kind of something. Maybe it is just swollen from suckling her calf. But I've never seen it that pronounced before. Here's little one. And this little one's on solid food now as well. It's not suckling all that frequently. Hey, was that your first encounter with lions? It might have been. They haven't really been around Djuma recently. It must have been quite a terrifying experience for it. Isn't it beautiful? And in an inconvenient position. Zeta Point, you want to know whether or not giraffe used to have shorter necks. Yes, they did. Their giraffe ancestors did used to have shorter necks. And their relative, the okapi as well, also has a slightly longer neck than other animals. Now, the idea always, when we were in school, was that giraffe had long necks so that they could feed higher than other animals. And the same was sort of put forward for Diplodocus and Brachiosaurus and so on, and dinosaurs with very, very long necks. There's an alternate theory as to why they evolved this way, and that is actually reproductive competition. So the way that giraffe fight is by, I'm going to go back, I think. I don't want to scare her by going forward. The idea is, the way that males fight is they swing their heads at each other in a process known as necking. And the longer the neck, obviously, the more momentum you can gather and the more force you can hit your opponent with. Can you see it there, Dave? Or shall I go forward again? Perfect. So the idea is basically that the males with longer necks had a higher reproductive or chance of reproducing because they were better at fighting, and therefore, slowly but surely, giraffe evolved to have longer and longer necks. And you can actually see that, giraffe often feed with their heads down, right down low. They don't always stretch up to the highest reaches. There, you can see that female's doing it, feeding down slightly lower than she might otherwise. So that's one of the theories that's put forward as to why giraffe evolved the necks that they have. And watching 2 male giraffe actually fighting, properly fighting, is mind-boggling, the amount of force that they are able to hit each other with. A giraffe skull, you've seen Gerald's, the giraffe skull in the tent, the one that the Mapani bees or stingless bees live in. That is heavy. It probably weighs around about 12 kilograms, just the skull alone. Now imagine that with flesh and muscle on the end of the very powerful neck. And if you watch slow motion footage of giraffe fighting, you can see the shock ripples and the shock waves that move across their bodies. Louis, you want to know how tall this giraffe is. This is a young one that probably stands just over 3 meters, just over 9 feet, right to the top of its head. Maybe actually just about 3 meters to the top of its head, whereas its mum is probably about 4.5 meters tall. Record-breaking giraffe, in terms of height, was a male that was over 6 feet tall. Sorry, 6 meters tall, not 6 feet tall. That's basically just Brent. 6 meters tall. Sometimes the conversion between feet and meters catches us out. Colleen, you want to know if the mum and the calf have a name. They don't. We haven't given, it's generally unusual for giraffe to have names. However, there are viewers that have been watching for many years who are really fascinated by giraffe, and Eileen's name comes to mind. And she has got to know the various giraffe of this area, and I think a lot of them have been given, I know a lot of them have been given nicknames, essentially, as a way of telling the difference between them. And just like our leopards, their spot patterns are unique. So you can very clearly tell the difference between the different giraffe if you spend enough time observing them. And I imagine that if we actually spent as much time as we do with leopards, we'd come to recognize the individual, or hyenas, we'd come to recognize the individuals almost immediately, just on sight. So we know the mum and giraffe because we've spent a bit of time looking at them. The mum and giraffe, the mum and calf, is what I meant to say. The mum and calf, just by spending time with them. But I don't think once that calf is older, I don't think I would recognize it off the bat if I saw it again. So no, they don't have official names. Skip, very, very well observed. Skip, you wanted to know if those dots that we saw on the giraffe earlier are ticks, and if so, will the oxpeckers come and eat them? And of course, ticks love to sit on the more sensitive patches of skin, and you can see just under this giraffe's armpits, you can see some ticks settled. So Skip, you are absolutely right. They are ticks, and yes, the oxpeckers will come and pick them off and help the giraffe out, just make their lives a bit more comfortable. And you'll often see giraffe, what they'll do, because the ticks like to sit on those really hard to reach places, if they don't have a convenient oxpecker at hand, they'll walk up to a tree and they will bend the tree over in between their front legs and their back legs, and they'll scratch the ticks off like that. Which is why sometimes you've got to be careful where exactly you walk, or which branch you shake upon yourself, or try to swat ticks off with yourself, because you actually might end up with more ticks than you intended. And sometimes they misshape, the trees become completely misshapen. You just see these poor trees that have been bent double by the scratching attentions of giraffe. But well done, Skip. Very well observed. Our oxpeckers, I can hear some oxpeckers. They don't seem to have settled on the giraffe yet. But they are sometimes do more harm than good. Anna-Marie, you were wondering, because we spoke about giraffes fighting earlier, you want to know if I've ever seen a giraffe fight. I have. I've seen a few very serious giraffe fights. It is actually quite scary in a way, just because you start to worry about the individuals who are fighting. Some of the fiercest battles I've seen giraffe engage in, and that I've actually tried to separate, have strangely enough been, oh, there's an oxpecker, look, Skip. There you go, picking away at the face for now. One of a giraffe fight that I tried to break up, and that is very common, is across fence lines. They see another male across a fence line, and they decide they have to fight it, which is obviously relatively pointless for them. It does end up doing damage to the giraffe. They can injure themselves on the fences, and at the same time they damage the fences. And a lot of the times, if you drive along and you see game fences bent double, it's because male giraffe have been fighting across them. I've got a picture somewhere that looks like a loving moment between two giraffe that were actually fighting across a fence. There, the ticks. Come on, oxpecker. You got hard work to do. You'd better start moving down the giraffe. I can't see if it's got its oxpecker hat on still or not. Does it? I can't see either, Dave, and I feel like if I move forward, she's going to move. As you can imagine, against gravity and in sort of the way in which a giraffe is designed, they must have one of the most powerful hearts of any animal, because they've got to pump blood all the way up from the chest right up to the brain. And they're actually very, very specialized in that sense. The heart of an adult giraffe, or Happy J, can be up to or over 25 pounds, so around about 11 kilograms, and is phenomenally strong. They've also got specialized blood vessels in their neck, cushioning around their brain to make sure that they absorb as much blood as possible to be transferred over diffusion surfaces. And their skin around their legs is very tight, so the blood pressure can be high enough that they, obviously, the blood doesn't sink to the bottom of their legs, especially around their veins, because veins, of course, don't have much in the way of blood pressure. I'm going to sneak forward in the hope that we can have another look at this giraffe. Hello, girl. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. There you go. Oxpeck has moved in. I don't want to go any further, Dave. Sorry. I think she's going to disappear if I do. There we go, Skip. It's actually a juvenile oxpecker. You can see it's got a black beak. And that is helping her out with all of those ticks on her skin. More food than one oxpecker could ever consume. One of the most satisfying things in the world is when you end up doing anesthetizing an animal for some reason, whether you're treating it for an injury or putting a tracker on it, and putting the solution that vets use. They pour this purple de-ticking substance all over the animals, and you can just see the ticks flying off them. It's the one thing that they do to sort of make up for the fact that we've had to dart the animal for whatever reason, is to just give them a few blissful tick-free days before the ticks make their way back on. And it is incredibly satisfying to witness. I imagine it makes up for presumably what feels like a headache when the animal wakes up. Yeah, good job, oxpecker. Get rid of those. Thank you, lovely girl, for sitting so obligingly still. Very difficult to get a sense of scale of these creatures until you're standing right next to them. Reaching up to the uppermost reaches of the leaves. Lovely giraffe sighting. I'm going to say a farewell and a thank you to all of you. Thank you, Dave, and thank you to all of you for joining us. We'll catch you on the Sunset Safari. I'm going to send you over to Taylor for the last few minutes.
Hello, you're back with us again, and Brian and I are swatting away all the flies. Now, something that I hope, I hope Wild Earth never brings in is a policy where they say no swatting flies and driving, because that'll be disastrous, don't you think? What would we do? What would we do? Now, before we end, I have to tell you something really funny. As you know, often there's a lot of bloopers that go on. We mishear things, especially when it's coming through the earpiece. So today, Brian and I started a game, and it's called Things That Megan Says. So sometimes the comms are not clear, and it happens with all the directors, but we've had the funniest ones today with Megan. So they both were links coming from Steph to come over to us, and the first one was Steph has got a spider with a kilt. So we thought it was a very Scottish spider. Scottish, but it was actually Steph has a spider with a kill, which was quite funny. And then the second one we haven't quite deciphered just yet, but it sounded something along the lines of Brian, please go ahead.
Steph is answering a question about how spider pups spread.
It was the funniest thing. We don't know what Megan was actually saying. It just came through really funny. And then Louise had one the other day where she'd said, link Brent with a red-crested Korhan, and I'd basically heard, link Brent with a wet-crested Franklin. I don't know how I heard that, but Craig and I had heard the same thing. So it was really funny, and I love that, and we're going to continue writing them down in the book, and we will share them with you. But sadly, this is all the time that we have for you today. We hope you've enjoyed it. It's been action-packed. We haven't had a drive like this in ages, and hopefully for this afternoon we'll have something similar. For me, my highlight was finding Tingana. Finding that Goliath heron was definitely fantastic. But from all of us here at Wild Earth, we hope you have a wonderful day, and especially from the Thumb, from Brian, from myself, we'll catch you again on the Sunset Safari. We hope you tune in.